Welcome to CapitalHQ, where exclusive access to the private market and curated deal flows await you. Dive into a world of possibilities, from innovative startups and scale-ups to lucrative IPOs and high-yield credit opportunities, all at your fingertips. Gain unparalleled investment insights from some of the leading minds in the industry. Stay ahead with our expert perspectives from around the globe. Connect and network with fellow investors of similar caliber. Join our exclusive in-person and online functions to share, learn, and grow together. And the best part? Joining CapitalHQ is completely free for investors. Become part of our proprietary network of over 33,000 investors today. Discover, invest, and network with CapitalHQ, your gateway to the future of investment.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. My name is Steve Torsa. I'm the founder of Wholesale Investor and CapitalHQ. I'd like to welcome you all to our CapitalHQ online investment showcase. So today, we've got an incredible lineup for you of a combination of 3 keynote speakers, as well as an in-depth panel session focused around the area of immunotherapy. First up, we've got John Sharp from Hatcher Plus. Now, we've got a partnership with Hatcher Plus with our HNWI ANZ fund. And the reason for that is I was absolutely blown away by John the first time I come across him and have been to date since. What they did as a company was they effectively took a data and AI-driven approach to the way in which venture capital is done. And they went and looked at what makes the most successful returns for venture and what is the approach they should take. What they effectively landed on was a systematic approach to venture investing that will blow your mind when you get the opportunity to understand it. So you'll really enjoy that keynote from John. Next up, we've got Stephen Zhu from INP Capital. INP Capital have successfully invested into 4 companies which have gone on to become unicorns. To give you an idea, they've also been able to generate returns of 40% IRR. For me, Stephen's been a trusted advisor in so many different ways and someone that I lean on in times when I need guidance around strategy and also positioning. So I think for any investor here that's looking at taking a more sort of global approach to the way they think about their investments, or understand how someone who is taking, who is looking at that, or looking to get behind an investor that's looking from that perspective, Stephen's keynote will be insightful, thoughtful, and also assist you in building your own investment thesis. And then lastly, we've got Dr. Nick from So High Partners. The guys, we come across them, at the start of this year, and we've been really impressed about their strategy, how they're approaching it. Australia is really lacking in sort of venture firms that are focused around medtech and life science. And these guys have the backgrounds, they've got the experience, they've got a great combination of both technical expertise and also investment banking and finance expertise on their team. And they've done a great job of attracting some top talent as well as some top investors to their LP list as well. So, really looking forward to Nick's presentation. Now, also as part of that, as I mentioned, I'm doing an immunotherapy panel session. This for me has been a highlight. I've watched the area of immunotherapy, and a lot of it comes down to someone which many in the Australian life science ecosystem know is Paul Hopper. And the company which really sort of got my attention in this space is working with Dr. Leslie Chong from Imugene. We've been fortunate enough to work with Imugene since 2016, 2017, and the company's been an incredible success story for us, and it's got an incredibly long way to go in the potential of value that it can actually realize. But in this session, I really want to help investors understand what that potential for immunotherapy is, what it actually is, and then also how it's sort of impacting patient outcomes, but also what the potential is from an investor's perspective over the next sort of 5 or 10 years. Because if for many of us, we've had family members that have been impacted by cancer, and typically in some way they go through either radiation or chemotherapy treatment as part of that. Well, immunotherapy is a new area that's effectively helping, in the recovery, but also there's a lot more other avenues. There's a lot of different paths or different approaches to how it can actually be executed with a patient, but also, and then the outcomes that it can have for those patients as well. So you'll be really fascinated by that panel session. I said I personally did it, so I know you'll enjoy that session. Now, on the company side, we've got an incredible range of companies that are presenting today. One of the big areas that's being talked about at the moment is obviously the area of hydrogen. So we've got Green LOHC, presenting, as part of today. They're sort of talking about one of the biggest challenges which comes to the high cost for storage and transportation and their solution for that. We've got Aviato, who's got a very unique approach to how they're thinking about internet access for mass populations in not quite remote areas, but sort of less densely populated areas. It's a lot lower cost, easier to execute, and can provide higher speeds. We've got Babeltex, who's a multilingual omni-channel messaging platform, and very innovative in that area. We've got one of our favorites with Capstone. We're obviously talking about their fund and how they help investors basically create yield out of residential property opportunities. We've got Priority One Wash Club, who are helping to revolutionize the auto care industry with a membership platform that consolidates top-rated wash services. And also we've got Guardware, who are also launching a groundbreaking data security solution designed to eliminate data theft. And on top of that, we've got FP Paradigm. One of the biggest areas coming out at the moment that people are talking about is obviously about plastics, whether it be in our food, whether it be in materials, and effectively how it actually can be eliminated. Well, through, Eduardo, the founder, Eduardo Alcordo, and with combination of the University of New South Wales, they're pioneering 8 different innovative projects in the food and beveraging, packaging and plastics area around recycling of those plastics. So with strong government support and also partnerships with iconic brands like Arnott's, etc., they're really tackling that challenge. So this is a few of the featured companies, and there's many more to be a part of it. It's an incredible session we've got lined up for you today. Obviously, inside our CapitalHQ platform, all the companies are featured. You can message the CEOs as they're presenting. You can request access to their deal rooms. And of course, if you're watching this sort of after the event as well, take your time. You can click on the individual sessions in the actual agenda item. We've made it super easy for you to get access to what you want. The most important thing about today is be active, be engaged, connect with the companies that interest you. And also, as I always say, whilst you're watching the companies present, they may not be directly relevant for you, but they may be relevant for someone in your ecosystem. So not only look at the opportunities from your own lens, but also from the perspective of how they could be relevant for other investors in your network. So on that note, enjoy the CapitalHQ online investment showcase. We're covering all sorts of areas, as I said, from plastics to life science, through to backing unicorns, through data-driven venture, through to medtech, etc. All unique areas and innovation areas are covered during today's session. So enjoy the session, and I look forward to seeing you at the end.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the keynote address. Thank you very much, Steve and Wholesale Investor, for inviting me once again to be part of one of your fabulous events. I really appreciate it. Today I thought it'd be a really great idea to delve into some of the trends that we're seeing out there, and specifically what I'm going to talk about today is the new 60/40. So of course, for those of you in the audience, we are doing this pitch with a lot of Australians in the audience. Of course, we're all familiar with the old 60/40, which of course is 60% stocks, 40% bonds, our portfolio strategy. It's our informed opinion that we think this is going away. And before I go into why we think that, let me give you a bit of background on myself. I've had a number of different careers. I've been lucky enough to work in several different industries. There's super fun stuff in space, in cybersecurity, and now in venture capital. In this most recent life, I've been working with Hatcher, and we've done about 339 investments to date. We're a top 20 data-driven VC on a global basis. We're the only non-European, non-US VC on that list. And one of the reasons that we've been awarded or honored with that is that we've created a lot of tech that we use as part of our selection process, but also our portfolio management process. And we work closely with folks like Wholesale Investor to pull their deals into our system, let our investors see that, and vice versa. So it's a very nice symbiotic relationship that we have with WI. So let's look at briefly at the current sort of idea behind portfolios for the last, I think you could basically say 100 years, because really most of the data goes back into the 1920s when it's quoted. In fact, you can see on the right-hand side here that the reason that that a 60% stock, 40% bond portfolio has been recommended is that it's returned basically 10% a year for all of that time. Best year, interestingly, was 1933, 2 years after the worst year, which was 1931. And I think those of us that were very recently looking on at the 2007 to 2009 sort of period or recognize something in that. In 2011, we had our biggest crop of unicorns that we'd had in a long, long time, after 4 years after one of the worst financial periods in history. So yeah, these things there is a history there of very bad cycles being rather quickly replaced with very good ones. But in any case, that's beyond the scope of what we're talking about today. All I wanted to make the point is that we've been doing 60-40 for 100 years, and no one's really questioned that until now. And what we're seeing is that there's a new 60-40 that's coming, and the 60 is now your old 60-40. It's stocks and bonds. That's 60%, if that even. And the new 40% is PE, venture, and crypto. And we're going to delve into some of the reasons for that. But this is something that it's not just conjecture for us. This is something you're going to hear whenever you attend a wealth management event or whenever you hear an economist speaking. They're talking about a really significant change in how people are allocating capital, and there's some good reasons for that. So yes, there's a new 60-40. Why is it happening? We're going to delve into this, and we're also going to delve into what does this mean for you as investors. So let's start with the youngest guys in the room, the millennials. So why are millennials adopting this change in strategy around their portfolio? The main reason for that is that they're motivated to get wealthy pretty quickly. And there's a couple of reasons there. They have really high personal debt relative to folks that are older. They tend to have 5.4x more credit card debt, 2.4x more auto loan debt, 1.7x more student loan debt. If you're a parent of a millennial, then you know that they spend twice as much as you do, and they tend to live a more extravagant lifestyle than we did when we were younger. So they're attracted by the new 60-40 split because they know that VC investments in crypto are probably going to get them a bigger hit or a bigger bang for their buck than traditional investments. They don't want to wait around for 10% on average a year. They want to go after those 20% average IRRs. It's a Cambridge Associates number, by the way, for VC and PE. And they also want to go after the crypto returns. And who hasn't sat next to someone on a Friday night and heard them say that I just made 10,000% in the last 2 years? It's frustrating, it's annoying, but it happens to all of us. And I'm not one of those people, by the way. I do have a little bit of crypto, but I'm not one of those guys who was smart enough to get in like 2012. I did try, but that's a story for another day. So that's the millennials. Let's look at why institutions are now taking a serious look at PE and venture in particular. And the model for this is typically called the Swensen effect after David Swensen, now unfortunately passed away. But when he took over as CIO at Yale, he transformed their allocation policy. Now, this is not dry reading, guys. This is fundamental and super interesting. He basically took a really sort of boring old approach and turned it on its head and started investing massively in private equity and venture, and ended up with 15.8% returns annualized over a period of many, many years, and just completely transformed how institutions view PE and venture. So instos used to basically maybe do 2 or 3% allocation, and they've completely transformed this based on what is now called the endowment model after David Swensen. And I was just at a UBS event a few months ago where their head of wealth recommended the endowment model and commented that they were seeing above 20% allocations to PE and venture in many of the family office portfolios. This is UBS, they're the world's largest wealth manager. When they're sharing numbers like that, I think they're reliable numbers, and they definitely show you that there's a trend going on. David Swensen deserves a lot of credit for this trend. So what else is driving this? There's a $10 trillion transfer going on. I mean, look, there's $145 trillion in assets that are sitting out there managed by asset managers. Some of those asset managers are you guys. There's 600,000 self-managed super funds in Australia. It's estimated that a minimum of $10 trillion is going to pass between generations over the next 20 years. And there's some estimates out there that are crazy, much higher than that. I just chose 10 trillion because it was one of the lower estimates. But yeah, there's a lot of money that's going to go from grandpa to dad to the kids over the next few years. So where's that money going to go? It's not going to go down the throat of an old 60-40 portfolio. It's almost definitely going to go into VC, PE, and crypto. I was recently in Amsterdam. I met with the head of a large family office there, and he gave his 16-year-old $50,000 to invest. And I said, how did that go? And he said, well, in 6 months, he turned it into $500,000. I said, that's amazing. I said, crypto? And he said, yeah, crypto. So this is obviously the first choice of a 16-year-old. It was the first investment of my 14-year-old. So the younger the family office principal, the younger the CIO, the more likely they're going to have a crypto stash. But that has just been made far more likely now, we'll talk about this in a second, by the fact that there's now ETFs coming out on this security, which is going to radically transform that. And a lot of people think it's going to drive cryptocurrencies much higher. I would agree with that. I think it stands to reason that once you have large institutions backing it, just like we talked about with venture just now, that's going to have an effect. So what are the other game changers here? And what are the other reasons that people are doing this? Well, one of the other reasons people are doing this is the most amazing time to be investing in technology. And I'm not saying this is some venture capital guy that wants you to invest in my fund. I am actually saying it because of that, but I'm all saying it because this is a truly amazing time. I mean, if you see what's going on in biotech and life sciences now, and the kind of stuff they're coming out with, they're curing previously incurable forms of cancer. They're extending our lives in so many ways. It's crazy. They're curing things like diabetes, which affect up to 15% of the population in some areas. And they're extending our lives. In fact, I saw a presentation recently where one of the slides in the presentation made the point that in Japan, they sell more adult diapers than baby diapers, or adult nappies and baby nappies for Australians. And that's an interesting statistic, and that won't just be Japan. That's going to be Korea, China, Europe, pretty much the rest of the world. As your population ages and young people decide they don't really want to clean up after old people, that's not their chosen life vocation, we're going to require millions of robots, and Japan is already well ahead in this area. If you're ever in Tokyo and you can swing it, go by the University of Tokyo's innovation division, and you'll see some most amazing the things that they're building there in terms of robotics. We're going to need lots of robotics to do the dirty work. We're also going to need lots of robots that are powered by AI to just hold people's hands and provide companionship. And I know that sounds probably a bit weird now, but it's happening. And any kind of companionship is better than being lonely. AI does a fantastic job at helping people that are facing mental health problems. We just invested in a fantastic mental health app in Indonesia. In Indonesia, there's something like 6 psychologists for every 100,000 people. And so having an AI-powered mental health app is really game-changing in that environment. But look, of course, AI is going to transform music. It's going to write screenplays. It's going to transform everything out there in the environment. And the people that come up with the best versions of that, and we think we've invested in a few of those, are going to make a ton of money out of those apps and those technologies. Crypto, it's game changing. I mean, it's a cross-border currency that has some very interesting characteristics that are similar in some respects to precious metals. It's a fascinating area. Some people love it, some people hate it. It doesn't matter. It's game changing. If you are, I recently asked my 14-year-old if he is interested in going to Mars. He's like, why the hell would I want to go to Mars? And he makes a very interesting point. I mean, he has so much fun in the online world that we've created as an alternative to Earth already. So when you think about it, there's really sort of 3 places we can go to. We can go to Mars, we can go to Earth, we can actually go outside like we used to when we were kids, or we can go and inhabit this online world. And the online world is pretty darn amazing. I know there's a lot of people that say stuff about the online world and how much screen time that kids have, but honestly, if I was a kid now, I'd be like 24/7 online, just because some of the stuff you can do there is really remarkable. Now, we're all aware of the next stuff, but you have to mention it. Artificial general intelligence. We use a lot of AI at Hatcher. We've been using it for 5-6 years, and 3, 4, 5 years ago it was a bit of a joke, and now it's really amazing what the AI can do. It's phenomenal, and I predict within 3 or 4 years the only business plans we will see will be business plans written with the assistance of AI, and then the trick is going to be to figure out how much of the founder is in the business plan versus how much of it was created on OpenAI. Climate, I've done a lot of work in climate and carbon. I was brought into that space by my cousin, who's based in Melbourne, runs a big climate and environmental focused fund there. So he's taught me a lot in that area. It's going to be a massive area for investment. Water is going to be a really big thing coming up. We just as co-sponsored a climate summit, or a climate cohort rather, with Brink, and we're just doing a water cohort with R3I Ventures at the moment. Esports, I just talked about online and how fabulous that is. Space, EVs, post-oil energy. Just take a minute and think about how things get transformed when we start running out of oil, and where that energy comes from and how much money can be made there. The same with decarbonized infrastructure. Some fantastic companies coming up. I just saw a great New Zealand company called Neocrete that's building, that's making concrete that uses 40 to 50% less carbon when it's making it, and it's much stronger. It lasts much longer. They're going to make a ton of money as all of the bridges, all of the roads, all of the runways in the world come up for replacement, which is coming up in the next 10 to 30 years. So there's a ton of money to be made in each of these spaces, and of course, many more. So why do we do the new 60-40? The reason that all of us invest is because we want to get wealthy or wealthier. Why do millennials do it? Well, for millennials, they need to get something more than the salary they're getting. They need the ability to invest. And just a quick side note here, this is why I get so frustrated by legislation or regulatory moves that attempt to push up the way that a sophisticated investor or wholesale investor, in Aussie terminology, gets rated, because I just think it's an awful idea to push younger people out of away from the ability to invest in startups and things that can really significantly increase their chances of getting wealthy. And look, the need to get wealthy is they have high personal debt, as we've already talked about, but also their costs going forward are significant. Buying a house is a much different proposition than it was even 20 years ago. Having more than one kid has become so out of reach for so many people now in Korea, in Japan, in Singapore, in many parts of the world, that most people are having one. It's just too expensive. So if you want to have more kids, then you need to be a wealthy person. I actually have a side hustle that's a startup, and 2 of my co-founders and that have 8 kids each. Why? Because they're wealthy people. So they're able to have a large number of kids and carry that cost. The other reason you need to be healthy is that you're going to face a much larger tax burden in the coming generation as a millennial than we previously faced. We cannot go on with the unsustainable level that we are now. We are going to face more taxes. Having a second passport is probably a good thing to think about because of that. My son has 3 passports. God bless him. He's going to have many choices in his life. And my daughter has 2. My son was lucky enough to be born in the US, so he has that extra one. Sustainability of food and water is going to require location flexibility, which again is an expensive proposition. And then you've got the other stuff that's coming up. So if you're a smart guy now, if you're really good at what you do now, you may have 10 really good years as a programmer. But after that, you may find some challenges with AI coming up and stealing your job. And that's for programming, that's for psychology, that's for some of the most deeply difficult jobs to do. AI turns out is really, really good at those jobs. So that's the new 60-40. We think it's a potential faster path to wealth. Capital is abundant right now, but the other reason people are going in the direction of venture PE and crypto is stocks and commercial real estate are looking pretty toppy. Commercial real estate has a bunch of other challenges in that no one in San Francisco turns up into San Francisco on Monday or Friday anymore, and sometimes they don't even turn up on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So if you're a sandwich shop in downtown San Francisco, you're in a pretty crappy world right now because you just don't have enough customers coming into town. The other problems are inflation could reemerge. Your stocks and bonds aren't typically a great hedge against that. But if you're earning 20% from your alternative investments, that's a pretty good thing to look at. The other reason 60/40 is something you can do now is because there are all these ways to reach opportunities. So Capital HQ from Steve, Hatcher Fast from us, these are places where you can go and source for deals. We're just about to release the Hatcher Top 100. You can log in, you can find the top 100 startups in the world as judged by our AI engine. Steve, maybe we should talk about putting that up on CapIQ as well, and we can share some deals there. So the other reason that 60/40 is appealing is that millennials, yes, they've got a lot of debt. Yes, they're facing some issues with potential future tax burden, but they also kind of know that they've been more potentially de-risked than anyone in previous generations because their parents are wealthier than previous generations. So buying into crypto startups and things, if they have a few reversals on that, it's not as risky as it would have been for people maybe 20 or 30 or 50 years ago when it would have been consequentially more risky. Right now, there's a little bit of de-risking going on there because they know that $10 trillion I talked about earlier is kind of coming their way sometime soon. So that's another reason why it's a lot easier to look at doing the new 60/40 instead of what it used to be doing the old 60/40. So let's finish on how we can participate. The crypto world is now accessible by ETFs. You can just buy from someone that you've heard about or from a name brand firm that you trust. As I just mentioned, VC opportunities are easier to find and research than ever before. You can use AI to research them. You can use various platforms that are out there to look at their deal streams and invest. There's another thing that's changing as well. It used to be founders would very much gravitate towards VC firms, but what they've since discovered is that actually family offices have a lot of DNA, a lot of entrepreneurial DNA. And so if you have an intelligent family office, the capital could be more patient capital. The guys running that capital might actually be smarter than some of the VCs that you meet. So there's a lot of capability here that the family offices bring to the table that is very competitive with what the VCs can bring to the table. Lastly, funds, trusts, SPVs are easier to set up than ever before. If you want to set those up, you can set them up on our platform or other platforms in days. Government incentives may be available to you if you set up the right structure in Australia. So it's easier than ever before to go from being an angel investor to being a VC and to enjoying that whole process. So hopefully that's a brief and helpful overview of what we see coming in the new world of portfolio weighting and how some of the investors that we're interfacing with are thinking about that new world and where they're putting their money. Steve, team, thank you again for the invite to be part of this of this great event, and thank you all for listening.
Hello, my name is Walt Anderson. I'm the founder and managing director of Avialto. Avialto is trying to solve a very big challenge. Probably every few weeks you read some article about the digital divide, the 3 billion people in the world that don't have regular connectivity to the internet. This is real. The market is huge. It's a huge market opportunity. And also closing the digital divide will provide tremendous benefits to those 3 billion people and the rest of the world. Now, satellites have been around for more than 50 years, but the digital divide didn't go away. And the reason is satellites are just too expensive. They just are out of reach for most people. How many people can afford $120 a month for a Starlink plus a $500 terminal or the other terminals needed for other types of satellites? So Avialto has developed the technology that can compete with satellites and close the digital divide. We're using a high altitude airship that stays at around 20,000 meters. And from 20,000 meters, it can see a circle of 240 kilometers diameter, 150 miles in diameter. And within that circle, we can provide a high volume of infrastructure to all the different telecom needs. We can provide service to cell towers, 4G, 5G cell towers, multiple cell towers within the region, to VSAT terminals that are on banks or on cash machines, to VSAT terminals in office parks and individual homes even. We can also provide services to fixed wireless service providers and maritime operators. So we're going to have a very low cost service that's higher in quality than satellites. So we have a huge market waiting for us and a bigger market that we're going to create with our low costs. My background is telecom. I've created 2 telecom companies that became unicorns, and I have a very experienced management team behind me. A number of the people there were with me with one of the unicorns, and others are aerospace or have other expertise that are needed to run this company. Now, we have a small management team. We built the company using contractors and consultants to develop our technology, which was a lot lower cost. We raised an initial $9.4 million. And with that, we did a lot of testing, real world testing of various vehicles, testing the parts and equipment and doing simulations. And we probably got, in a normal traditional aerospace, it might have cost over $100 million to do this type of thing, but we got it done for the $9.4 million. And now we have completed our R&D. We're ready to build these commercial vehicles. And the reason this can be done now, why wasn't it done before? Well, solar panels and batteries got much more efficient. Previously, the batteries were not efficient enough to make this commercially viable. We could have built it, but it wouldn't have been very useful. Now we can build a commercially viable high altitude platform, and we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Airships have been around for over 100 years, and our airship is going to look a lot like the airships that were around 100 years ago, because there's proven technology, proven systems. The only difference is, instead of a gasoline or diesel engine, we're using electric motors, and we're powering it with batteries, and we're charging the batteries with solar panels that'll be on the roof of our vehicle. So the vehicle can stay in place for 3 months or more at a time in a stationary position in the sky. And we have customers all over the world waiting for service. Now, we think Southeast Asia, fantastic market. For example, Indonesia with 6,000 populated islands, Malaysia, Vietnam, Philippines. But we have customers waiting in Africa, India, Sri Lanka, Central South America, North America. Even in America, there are pockets of areas that don't have good service. What we're trying to do is cover the regions that have about 12 people per square kilometer, but are satellite only. So we're competing directly with satellites. And in the part, when we cover an area, we're going to be the lowest cost, highest quality provider in that area. And we're selling to telecom operators, and they buy our service and resell it and be lower cost than satellite. So we're effectively going to take over in the areas we serve and become the best supplier, quality and price. And any reasonable telecom operator is going to want to get the best quality and price for their mobile operations, other types of services. So it's a great place to be in the market. We're also a first mover. We're way ahead of anybody else. The funds we're raising now are to set up a factory and put that factory into operation to build the first 3 vehicles. And the first 3 vehicles will have 2 vehicles in the air, 1 on the ground. We're trying to raise $18 million in total to set up the factory in the first vehicle. But at this moment, we're offering a very low cost for the first $1 million of that 18 million. And that will allow us to complete testing of a 17-meter subscale vehicle. We've tested this vehicle indoors extensively. Now we need to test it outdoors and free flying under the supervision of Civil Aviation Agency Authority of the UK. And that $1 million will cover the complete testing of that vehicle. Now, that vehicle, we know it's going to operate in the stratosphere going straight ahead. It's optimized to do that for months at a time. But airship vehicles have problems when they're near the ground. That's where they have accidents. So we want to test the control systems very extensively so that as we're bringing the vehicle down or launching it, we have a very high level of control over the vehicle to bring it up to 20,000 meters where it'll sit for months at a time without problem. That's the story. This is a amazing market opportunity, not only because of the huge market waiting for those 3 billion people, the $90 billion market we're going to create, but because we have very, very high margins. We're much lower cost than satellite, but we have those high margins. So I think this will be bigger than the other two unicorns I created by many times. And I hope you'll join us. We'll make a good deal for you if you become part of this first funding round, the first funding round. And we'll give you some warrants to buy into the next round in case you want to do that. If we reach our milestone and finish the testing, you probably will want to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, CapitalHQ, for the opportunity to talk about green LOHC PTO Ltd. LOHC stands for Liquid Organic Hydrogen Carrier, and it's a way to safely and scalably transport and store hydrogen, which is one of the biggest issues with the integration of hydrogen in the renewable industry space. Hydrogen is seen as one of the key deliverers of energy in the energy transition space, with expectations of over $2 trillion invested in the industry globally by 2050. And there's over $1 trillion expected by 2030 being invested in clean energy technology investment, which this is really a part of. Liquid organic hydrogen carriers, as I said, are a solution for hydrogen storage and transport. It's safe and efficient, as essentially it's a reversible chemical reaction to store hydrogen in a long-chain polymer and then reverse that chemical reaction at the point of requirement for the hydrogen. Importantly, it's cheap, there's no reagent consumption, there's no further greenhouse gas emissions. The LOHC liquid itself is stable and chemically inert. And one of the really important things, it uses all the existing diesel transport and storage capacity that's out there at the moment. So you don't have to have complicated pressure vessels, you don't have to cool the LOHC, you can use existing infrastructure. It contains about 5.4% by weight of hydrogen at ambient temperature and pressure. And interesting enough, that's actually 2 to 3 times more dense in hydrogen than highly compressed hydrogen. So, it's a significantly dense form of hydrogen storage. Ammonia is another form that you can store hydrogen and transport it, and that is actually far more dense in hydrogen, over 3 times at around 17.8% by weight. The trouble with ammonia is that you have to transport it in ammonia vessels. You have to keep it in liquid form at less than minus 33 degrees C. And it's obviously a toxic gas, so you're going to be very careful with how you handle it. You could also liquefy the hydrogen, dropping the temperature even further down to minus 253 degrees C. Again, the only trouble with that, it also is apart from the huge costs and the very specific infrastructure you need to store and transport it, it still only gets you slightly more density than at 71 kilograms per cubic meter of hydrogen as opposed to LOHC. So the other forms all have their place, but LOHC has a particularly useful spot in being a form of storage and transport. But that's the generic LOHC. What we have here is a specific, uniquely designed LOHC and catalyst combination, which has been developed by a company called Hynatec, and Green LOHC has the exclusive rights for that technology in Australia. Bit of background on Hynatec. They've been operating for around 9 years. They have over 90 patents, and the technology they've created is unique and fit for purpose. There are no expensive platinum group metals in this catalyst, and for the other competition, there is. They've been able to prove over 100 cycles of no degradation in either the LOHC or catalyst, so it continues to operate as designed. It is very safe and non-flammable. In actual fact, it is actually in WA at least is not designated as a dangerous good. You don't have to placard it. You can put it in. It's about the same as milk. Hydrogenation process where you combine hydrogen with the LOHC releases around 6 kilowatt hours of hydrogen per kilogram of hydrogen hydrogenated, and dehydrogenation needs around 7.1 kilowatt hours of heat to release and break those bonds and release the hydrogen. That's about at 200 degrees C, and I can tell you that's significantly less It's 2/3 the temp required of other competing LOHCs. It's a rapid release process. The bonds with the hydrogen release rapidly at that temperature, and you end up getting over 20 times the kinetics or the speed of dehydrogenation of other technologies. And what's other important is that it's a highly scalable plant. You can start at a couple of tons or develop up to hundreds of tons. And so it's really ideal for early integration of hydrogen to its various uses. Now, we actually, at Green LHC, we believe the use of LHC is actually as a long-term store of renewable energy, particularly in off-grid applications. So on the right-hand side, you can see wind and solar have a round-trip efficiency of 100%. So your wind and solar goes into a grid and you use it directly with very limited losses. Batteries around 90% round term, so you get 90% of the energy you put into a battery comes out, and hydrogen's only 41%, so a lot less. But where hydrogen comes into play here is obviously the volatility of wind and solar and the limited capacity of batteries. So on the left-hand side of the graphic there, batteries have made enormous inroads and will continue to do so, but they are still a work in progress in terms of getting up to 7, 8, 9 hours of power coverage in even the best systems at this point in time. It does not deal with multi-month, multi-seasonal variations in wind and solar. This is where a fuel's required, and LOHC is a method to provide that fuel through hydrogen. This is a recyclable supply chain. So hydrogenation occurs, and with our strategy in a large, efficient hydrogen hub, we have access to the cheapest hydrogen available. We then put the hydrogenated LHC into fuel tankers and move them to a point where the hydrogen is actually used. In this case, we're looking at off-grid applications, particularly in the mining industry, where the hydrogen fuel can be used directly in a fuel cell or a combined cycle hydrogen-ready gas turbines. The dehydrogenated, the LHC where the hydrogen atoms have been stripped off, is then returned for hydrogenation, and the process continues. Hynatec, who's that we have an exclusive deal with, does own the most effective LHC technology available and has a technical and commercial readiness levels well in excess of the competing technologies. Hynatec's now in a position to roll out its technology through demonstration projects in key markets such as us in Australia, Europe, and the Middle East. We've identified the best place to start, which is what we call our Hynatec LHC project in the Midwest of Western Australia. The Midwest is the best location for combined wind and solar in the country. We have secured a 50-year lease over a 4-hectare site within the Oakajee Hydrogen Hub, alongside BP and Fortescue. In that hub, we have shared access to all the infrastructure required: road, power, port, hydrogen pipelines. We also have a conditional hydrogen supply agreement with a company called Oakajee Energy, which has a multi-gigawatt land position directly north of the Oakajee Hydrogen Hub for direct access to hydrogen to be supplied through a pipeline from that facility. We also have ATO R&D registration. So located here, as I said, we're in the Midwest. We've all of our competitors, by the way, Fortescue, BP, and Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners, are committed to ammonia production. We're looking to utilise Oakajee Energy's hydrogen production to provide hydrogen locally, particularly to in the Midwest and a lot of the mining and remote communities. The site at Oakajee is to be activated on a road completed in 2025. The land we've been given is direct access to that road, so we can quickly get on the highways and deliver our product starting in 27. We have the capacity to scale up on the land position. We have up to over 200,000 tonnes per annum of hydrogenation capacity per annum as regional hydrogen supply grows. One of the other aspects we're looking at, rather than just locally, is as an export possibility to Singapore, which is relatively close by. Singapore, as you would expect, doesn't have a great deal of renewable energy capacity. And so we're looking at how we could deliver hydrogen through an LHC supply chain up to the facilities that they have in Singapore, in particular for use as a heating fuel for high energy chemical applications, but also for power generation. The other aspect which we're investigating at this point in time is the use of this LOHC technology to use with our neighbours at Oakajee, where they are looking to produce ammonia. To produce ammonia using the Haber-Bosch process, or I should say green ammonia, you have to have a significant hydrogen buffer storage to be able to level out the volatility in the electrolyzer output, which is being driven by solar and wind. Now, this LOHC technology really is far better than compression as a form of hydrogen storage. And so that's another application where you can have combined hydrogenation, dehydrogenation on the one site, supporting a large hydrogen buffer to support green ammonia production. So with our Oakajee LOHC project, we have 3 attractive end uses identified to date, and there will probably additional as we go along. One is delivery of hydrogenated LOHC by truck to remote off-grid power users. 2, delivery by liquid bulk cargo to Singapore and return, and the potential use of the LOHC technology in green ammonia projects as hydrogen buffer storage technology in the Oakajee area. To do this, we're looking at an export scale startup of around 10,000 tonnes per annum of H2, which is actually based on existing and available tank capacity at the nearby port of Geraldton. So we can jump in early before all the other participants at Oakajee. We then look to also deliver up to 2,000 tonnes per annum of hydrogen to local users, which are within trucking distance. With LOHC, you can actually truck up to 1,000 kilometres from the hydrogen hub. And then, of course, put on the inside Oakajee a demonstration of continuous hydrogenation, dehydrogenation for H2 bunkering applications. This stage 1 will require 12,000 tonnes per annum of hydrogenation plant at Oakajee plus tankage. So what we're looking at here now is to raise $1 million in equity in order to progress this Oakajee demonstration project. The use of these funds are listed out here. Obviously, lab testing, feasibility study, some preliminary engineering and designs for green ammonia applications. There are a substantial number of grants that are available, which post us completion of the feasibility studies and some initial site planning and surveys, we become possible to apply for. This investment will see us through to early 26 and a financial investment decision. We are talking with our hydrogen supplier to jointly work on a long-term hydrogen offtaker that would support an underwrite investment for the 12,000 tonne per annum hydrogenation first stage at Oakajee. So this is setting out a very rough indicative timeline of what we're looking to do over the next 3 years, 4 years, through to the end of 27 for our initial stage 1 project. So in summary, Hynatech's LOHC is the best leading technology in the world. We have an exclusive right to that technology in Australia. The Midwest is the best combination of wind and solar to build a large-scale green hydrogen and green ammonia production base. We've got a position in the Midwest adjacent to some major players and shared infrastructure. Geraldton, which is 20 kilometres to the south of Oakajee, is a close, large-scale hydrogen user, and certainly we think the Midwest could be a fantastic candidate to supply Singapore's chemical and power needs. Green LOHC, along with its hydrogen supply, believe that there is a path to bring forward hydrogen production at Oakajee to 27, and we're now looking for that equity investment to really get us between here and there. Thank you for the opportunity. Bye for now.
Hi, I'm Gary Elks, Managing Director of New Building Solutions. We're a leader in innovative and cutting-edge building systems. With our innovative construction system, we're targeting the global building industry. This market is worth $8 trillion US per year. There's a problem that I'm sure we're all aware of. Many countries are faced with housing shortages. In Australia, we require 1.2 million new dwellings. In the US, the housing shortage was 5 million prior to COVID, and it's increasing. The builders can't make up that difference. Worldwide, we need 96,000 new dwellings per day. Will the building industry be able to catch up? Probably not with current building systems. So what's causing this problem? It's made up of many factors, including supply chain issues, rising material costs, labour shortages, also an increase in demand from migration and population growth. And limited housing and increased rental costs are big drivers of homelessness. So we've developed quick build systems. It's in recognition that building methods that are currently in use have not changed for many decades, and they're not keeping up. So quick build is faster and costs less than traditional construction, reduces construction time while maintaining workplace and health and safety, and it's scalable to the world market. Applications are wide and varied. We can build housing with the wall system. We can build 30-story buildings with this system as well. In fact, it can be used for any structural wall. The experienced team showing here have worked together for decades, over 100 years, in building, innovation of building systems, construction and structural engineering, as well as international business development. So we are entering the market with our first walls in Q4 24. We've got agreements in place with 2 builders. Patent is pending for our building system, and our technical and operation manuals are completed. So we're seeking 1.1 million to accelerate commercialisation in Australia, followed by commercialisation in the US, then other markets. And also we want to design and build a robotic assembly plant to assemble the standard components which are part of our system. That's the good thing about it, just made up of standard components. It's innovative. There's nothing else like it that's ever been put into the building industry. To find out more, contact Gary or Jan on those details. Thank you.
Hi, my name is David Hayes. I'm the founder of BabbleText. BabbleText is going to reinvent your customer service. So the basic principle about BabbleText is all about taking your customer service from voice to messaging. We do messaging like your customers do. Think about that for a second. You can chat with your customers through their preferred messaging app rather than being confused on a voice call, which is highly inefficient. So if you engage your customers on messaging, you're also, through BabbleText, engaging your customers in their language on their device. How does BabbleText work? It's really simple. A consumer can message in Mandarin. That message will come into the platform. It'll be automatically presented to a live operator in English. That live operator will then respond in English, and that response will automatically then go back to that consumer's messaging in Mandarin. And we do that for 135 languages. So today, customers want to be able to message rather than speak on calls. So we empower your business from all sectors to engage globally with their communities in 135 languages using their customers' preferred communication and social channels. That's a really important thing to understand, because messaging is not just SMS. It's web chat, it's Facebook Messenger, it's WhatsApp, it's WeChat. All of those messaging platforms are integrated with BabbleText. So the basic stat is 64% of customers preferred text rather for their customer service. So let me give you some basic facts. Voice is $1.50 per minute, and it forces real-time participation. Significant time is invested not only with the live operator, the customer service agent, but also the consumer. And the first contact resolution is about 76%. And there's also that potential for miscommunication, and it's mostly English. Whereas with text, it's around about 9 cents to 15 cents per minute. The consumer responds when it's convenient to them. There's no time pressure. First contact resolution is about 80%. And you have that conversation history in all of the languages, and of course, in 135 languages. So why BabbleText? Very simple. It's unparalleled engagement. It communicates in 135 languages. You can integrate BabelText into your existing ecosystem. It's simple and intuitive for the customer service agent. You foolproof your customer service by understanding what they really want by having that entire history of that conversation. And of course, we customize and white label for you. So, as I said before, how does it work? Messaging is not only SMS, it's WhatsApp, Google Business Messenger, Facebook Messenger, web chat, Discord, SMS, Telegram, WeChat. So with BabelText, you can have a situation where a consumer can start their conversation on SMS, and then they can go to Facebook Messenger, or they may want to go to Discord, but it'll all be presented within the customer service agent's web interface in one conversation history. So one conversation history within the operator interface, regardless of what channel they use. So BabelText is efficient, cost-effective, multilingual, and secure. We are an AWS partner, we're an AWS qualified software partner, and we're an AWS public sector partner. So this is the fundamental architecture of BabelText, with the various channels, the conversation channels being WeChat, web chat, SMS, Facebook Messenger. By the way, we are the only multilingual web chat in the marketplace. So again, the consumer text in their language, it goes through XConnect to validate their mobile number. It goes through the messaging pillar, the translation pillar, and the dashboard, and then presented in English to the customer service agent. The customer service agent then responds, and that customer service agent in English will be automatically translated back into the language of the consumer. So what we're doing is we're providing you the opportunity to engage in your customers in their language and on their device. Now, BabelText has also got tabled for Q4 this year to be able to provide the platform not only in English for the operator, but Vietnamese, Punjabi, and in Filipino, to provide the opportunity to use the platform with operators from various parts of the world. So where's the product fit for BabelText? Healthcare, of course, dealing with cultural and language diverse patients. Government, when they have maybe a council where high non-English constituents. Hospitality, well, that's obvious. You have non-English speaking guests. Corporate, globalize your customer service. Help services. Mystery Shopping told us that there's no help service in Australia that supports a cultural language diverse community. Education providers, student communication, overseas students, immigration, that's of course. And of course, crypto, that is a massive market using Discord and Telegram platforms. So how do you take your voice customer service and migrate it to messaging? It's very simple. Use devices such as the QR codes. So you fundamentally have QR codes on your website or on your marketing material. The consumers just simply scan the language of their choice. It'll open up the SMS on their mobile phone. It'll pre-populate it with a number and pre-populate it with a message in language. They then just scan, click, and send, and they're automatically communicating in their language with your customer service operator. So the key statistics, it's a preference for customers texting. Customer satisfaction, well, we all know about customer satisfaction scores. Cost saving is considerable cost saving for both business, and the most important is efficient for the operators. And there's a massive demand in messaging with messaging apps across the globe. So our solution is very simple. It's one interface, it's scalable, it's a SaaS platform. There's cost savings with customer service agents being able to manage multiple conversations, and customer presentations are never lost. You can target the audience because messaging is ubiquitous. And demand, well, SMS, web chat, WhatsApp, Telegram, they're all able to be used in 135 languages. Now, when it comes to translation, the BabbleText platform had a positive independent review carried out by the Ethnic Community Council of New South Wales, where they endorsed BabbleText to say if you wanted to engage with the cultural and language diverse community, BabbleText is the platform to use. So when you migrate to messaging, what you have to do is you have to advise your customers. So we have a message broadcast platform as well. So you can load your customer database in, broadcast a message out to your customers. They'll respond. You have that live operator conversation. There is a positive outcome. You can then retarget them and create that conversational marketing opportunity. Teams, well, talking with teams, let me give you a typical example. We've got 15 builders out there in the marketplace who are running around doing odd jobs. How do they communicate with a central location? How do you keep a complete history of all those conversations and they have a central source of truth? BabbleText is a perfect application for your team. So we have two platforms, which is one is the multilingual customer service platform, one is MessagePort. One provides that conversation in 135 languages. It's scalable, it's omni-channel. You can export all the data, you can integrate with your existing CRMs. The MessagePort is our broadcast platform, which enables you to broadcast message to all of your customers. You can have personalized message, mass sends, alerts, multilingual broadcast, and you can also integrate with Microsoft 365 and many other applications. Sentiment analysis, this is the big opportunity moving forward. When you have a conversation history, you are able to analyze that conversation history and you're able to understand the sentiment of that consumer. This is the great opportunity that AI provides to BabbleText. And we are working with AWS to build a AI generative sentiment analysis platform that'll be integrated within our dashboard. So you as a manager will be able to analyze that conversation and pick up the true sentiment and trends on all of the conversations that are generated within your conversational marketing. BabbleText and AI, this is the new buzzword, but more importantly for BabbleText, it's all about analyzing the conversations, not creating the conversations. We're not an AI bot. We use live operators, and of course those live operators generate conversation. But when you're able to analyze that conversation and analyze the language, know the mobile number, analyze the social media conversations, and with the large language models, we are able to get really to the core of that conversation and restore a measure of surprise and delight in that customer experience. Predict and prevent. Relevance means revenue. Our team is a good, solid team with myself. We've got some strategists. We've got a good tech lead, good tech team. We've got a couple of marketing people. Our CEO's been there since day one. We've got a good UI UX team. We've got a strategist over in France to help us with global penetration. We've got some good legal and accounting partners, and with our R&D is all managed by Deloitte. So that is BabbleText. We hope that you have enjoyed the presentation. Please, if you have any questions on the platform, please don't hesitate to reach out. And let me finish by saying your customer's message to you, future-proof your customer service. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, Jackie. Sustainable Fashion Ventures is an early-stage company completing a Series A to commercialise a portfolio of denim materials using the world's most efficient distribution platforms. What I'm going to talk you through here today is the compelling reason to pursue the venture in light of the three major problems in the fashion industry today, the opportunity by numbers and product, the venture strategy and two-year plan. I will refer to the denims throughout this presentation as the Green Tab portfolio. The world's most sustainable and durable 100% cotton denims. Every day, 50% of the global population wears denim. What is so compelling about starting with denim is through one portfolio of denim materials, we can correct the fashion industry to sustainable business practice almost overnight. Let me take you through the challenges. Problem number one, microplastics and inorganics. In fashion, microplastic particles are generated from petroleum-based fibres like polyester, nylon, and acrylic. These fibres end up in waterways, soil, even the air we breathe. Nearly 70% of consumers say that their awareness of microplastics factors into the clothing they buy, according to research from Cotton Incorporated. Within the Green Tab portfolio, we have proven 3 denims to replace all requirements for plastics and inorganics in the fashion supply chain. Problem number 2, scalable recycling. In September 2021, the United States National Institute for Standards and Technology hosted workshops and determined the abundant practice of moving waste clothing to emerging economies and the third world is not sustainable and does not deliver benefits. We have successfully shown that partnering with providers of recycling services and leveraging available logistics providers in the United States is a viable and scalable strategy. Venture will continue to roll out this approach with global partnerships. Problem number 3, labour and modern slavery. Denim brands globally source their cotton from emerging economies and through programs that do not enforce minimum standards as it relates to employment. Whilst physical harvest methods are mandatory for some cotton, such as Giza 92, Giza 96, and Giza 95 from Egypt, the reality is most denim brands source cotton on a cost basis, and this ensures farmers are forced to employ the lowest cost methods of harvest, including children. In the factory, there are well-known hazards, and in some emerging economies, such as Pakistan and Bangladesh, the practice of employing children still exists. The Green Tab supply chain is fully auditable and delivers denim to the highest international standards, leveraging best-in-class manufacturing. I've photographed the supply chain and the facilities, and it's available in the deal room. The opportunity: use aggressive digital sales and marketing techniques to commercialise the world's most sustainable denims and recycling services. Be number 1 in denim online. The denim industry is a compelling market to disrupt. Denim jeans alone was $77 billion in revenues 2022. Denim jackets, just over 10% of that number, with a combined online and offline compound annual growth rate exceeding 5% per annum. The growth of denim sales online is estimated at 12.5% compound for the next 8 years. Now, the product we're taking to market is obviously denim clothing. Jeans and jackets are the primary garments within that portfolio. Having said that, there are some fantastic things this venture has already achieved. First in the world to develop 100% cotton denim, replacing plastics for all major denim garment categories. First in the world to commercialise online denim recycling processes, owner of the Green Tab design portfolio. The strategy for the venture is simple and highly scalable. Take and hold top 5 SEO positions globally. Localise the content, centralise pricing and operations. Continue to be the leading innovator in sustainable materials and processes, partnering with R&D firms like Cotton Incorporated. Ruthlessly execute sales and marketing. So what we're looking at here is the top 3 growth drivers and our performance to date in light of them. Transition to online, 12.5% compound annual growth rate per annum. We hold top 5 SEO globally. The dominance of denim, an $84 billion category. We lead innovation in denim. Emerging economies driving growth: China, Japan, Brazil, India. The skeptics among you, this means that a track record in the United States counts for nothing. In these markets, it's anyone's game. The 2-year plan, or rather, the 2-year plan, year 1. Roll out global digital assets, leveraging the prototype site we use to commercialise into the United States, Europe, and other places. Establish the headquarters and corporate structures to support sales and marketing into 16 jurisdictions. Begin scaling sales and marketing. Establishing 5 enterprise roles: executive, marketing, finance, design, and warehouse, with the design team focused on the development of the Green Tab portfolio of garments. Year 2 is really building on year 1. Cadence of digital asset marketing using predominantly YouTube, high-profile marketing partnerships by investing in regionally specific digital and social media influencers, double down on sales and marketing expense. The beauty of a digital sales and marketing strategy is once you've formulated that go-to-market strategy and developed those algorithms, increasing the expense is as simple as increasing the expense. Invest. So the Series A is to raise 5 million to pursue this very simple, scalable model to commercialise the Green Tab portfolio with a 5-year plan to achieve a liquidity event, a trade sale, or an IPO. Thank you for your time. I look forward to hearing from you.
Hi, I'm Stephen Comerford. I'm a project manager working on several of the R&D activities into sustainable materials. I've worked in the food and beverage industry for the last 20 years. I've worked for companies such as Arnott's Biscuits, Coca-Cola Amatil, and Dairy Farmers. And the food and beverage industry, unfortunately, is falling short of some of its packaging commitments, where just 18% of plastic packaging is being recycled. Also, food waste has become a major environmental issue and one that needs addressing in not just Australia, but globally. We're working really hard on several projects to address both this plastic issue and also this food waste issue. I'd like to share some of those projects with you today, and then at the end, present an investment opportunity for you. So we're focused in our R&D around 3 different areas: new plastic technology, food waste management, and also measurement and consumer research. The R&D program is set to transform fossil-based fuels plastic in the food and beverage industry, not just here, but globally. And certainly we're working really hard on these 8 projects, which I'll introduce to you now. The first of which is around organic recycling technology. This technology looks at a better way of recycling. We're looking at synthesis of biomass materials, and that combines biomass materials with new plastics. We're also looking at carbon utilisation, and carbon utilisation takes CO2 gas and converts that into plastic. We also have 3 exciting projects around food waste management. One includes a nanowire sensor, which is used for tracing of food and food packaging. We're also looking at a colorimetric sensor, of which indicates when food goes off or spoils. This could potentially replace a best before date and give consumers a better opportunity to see when their food's going off. We're also using blockchain technology to trace food and source as well. The other technology that we're looking at is also a life cycle analysis of all of these programs, and also some consumer research. The consumer research is quite unique because it looks at all of the technologies, and we will know that we have some projects that are really user-friendly for consumers. So all these projects are being conducted at the University of New South Wales, and I'd like to give you a short update of one of those projects. The organic recycling project looks at taking solid waste and feedstock that isn't normally being taken in the marketplace, such as contaminated waste. It uses a technology, a solvent technology, to look at making it into nanoparticles, and we get an aqueous dispersion. From that, we can make new plastic and then preform into different materials. Some of those materials that we can make from this are new bottles made out of PET plastic or new trays. So it has application across a broad range of opportunities in the food industry: biscuits, cake, fruit, meat, seafood, coffee, etc. This alternative technology has some great advantages. We really are looking to improve the efficiency of recycling and waste management. We can utilise contaminated feedstock. To date, that hasn't been a possibility. And we're also looking at how we can transform the reliance on petroleum-based plastics by utilising this green chemistry. And we're also looking for a cost reduction by using these technologies. As mentioned, the opportunity is large. The Australian market right now is worth $4 billion, and it's expected to grow at about 2%. But what's emerging right now is recycled plastic and the demand for that, and that's growing at about 11.8%, and it's worth almost $200 million today. We really do see this coming ahead in leaps and bounds in the coming future. We've already secured great partners. We've got Pablo and Rusty's Coffee on board, Arnott's Biscuits Group, Taka Plastics, and Paco Industries, which has a subcontract to look at these R&D projects. The current experimental expenditure at the moment is $23 million. And there's a further $23 million in 2024 that's coming online. So in summary, the investment is quite a good opportunity. We're seeking $5.7 million in a convertible note. FP Paradigm has an advanced finding that's already been awarded. We will pay an interest of 10% quarterly over 2 years, and the option can be exercised soon after that. We've made significant progress with the university, and there's a large market opportunity. So why don't you come and have a talk with us today? And our details are at the end of this presentation. Thanks for your time.
Hello everyone, my name is Stephen Xu, co-founder and CEO of the INP Capital, a boutique investment firm, the forefront of investment innovation, specializing in opportunistic strategies that capitalize on market dynamics to deliver robust returns. It is a pleasure to share with you about our journey and passion. I will split my presentation into 2 parts. First part is to introduce INP Capital and our journey. Second part is to talk about the current market and what areas we see opportunities exist. Invest in evolution. Emerge with greatness. We are passionate about investing. With specialized teams based in Canada, Australia, China, and Singapore, we excel in capturing the essence of innovation, transforming cutting-edge technologies and outstanding talent into lucrative opportunities. Our competitive advantages stem from several key areas. Global view. With a robust global presence and connections across North America, Australasia, and Asia, INP Capital is well positioned to identify and capitalize on opportunities in multiple markets. This global reach supports a more comprehensive market view and diversified investment portfolio. Localized expertise. We boast a team of seasoned professionals with extensive experience across various sectors, including technology, real estate, and finance. This diversity and localization enables the firm to tap into a broad spectrum of investment opportunities and manage them with a deep understanding of each sector's unique dynamics. Innovative investment strategies. We are known for its innovative approach to investments, particularly in identifying and capitalizing on mispriced assets and emerging trends in sectors like sustainability, climate tech, energy transition, etc. We are young, but we are passionate and ambitious. Since 2018, we've consistently outperformed expectations, boasting an average gross IRR of over 40% across all funds. This outstanding performance ranks us in the top quartile of venture capital funds. At INP Capital, we're not just investing, we're crafting the future. Our extensive global network and deep market insights empower us to engage deeply within local innovation ecosystems, fostering relationships that drive exponential growth. In the past 6 years, we have 4 portfolio companies growing into unicorns with 1 exit. First one is ApplyBoard, a pioneering platform that is simplifying the journey for international students in pursuit of education. This innovative company acts as a bridge between students, educational institutions, and recruitment partners worldwide. Since our strategic early-stage investment in 2018, ApplyBoard has made significant strides, including entry into the Chinese market. Their remarkable growth is evident, with a valuation of $4 billion Canadian dollars in their latest 2021 financing round. Next, we have GrubMarket, a leader in the digital transformation of the American food industry. Leveraging cutting-edge AI, GrubMarket optimizes the complex food supply chain from farm to table with unparalleled efficiency and intelligence. Our mid-stage investment in 2020 contributed to the impressive post-money valuation of overused $3.5 billion that the company currently commands. Moving forward, we come to Expansive, a trailblazer in the commodities market, specifically driving the rapid growth of the world's energy transition. By offering innovative market solutions for renewable energy and environmental assets, Expansive plays a crucial role in fostering a greener and more sustainable economy. Our late-stage investment has propelled them to a noteworthy post-money valuation of $2 billion. Lastly, we have Skage International, a driving force in the future of zero-emission transportation. This forward-thinking company is at the forefront of developing new energy solutions for heavy-duty commercial vehicles and revolutionary e-fuel technologies. With our recent early-stage investment in 2021, Skage International is set to be listed on NASDAQ via SPAC, carrying a valuation of $1 billion. Let's talk about our strategies. Let me paint a picture for you. You're witnessing the birth of potential unicorns, right at the forefront of cutting-edge technology. Our early-stage technology investments take us into industries on the verge of explosion. Across North America and APAC regions, we identify startups with game-changing ideas led by visionary leaders. Although we are industry agnostic, our key focus areas are AI application and sustainability climate tech. We are the pioneers in unlocking their future success. But here's where it gets even more exciting. We ride the wave of possibilities in the growth stage technology arena. With our ongoing support, we nurture the cream of the crop within our portfolio. Our focus: transformative sectors like AI, digitalization, food tech, energy transition, and new energy. The potential here is massive, and we're inviting you to join us on this exhilarating global journey, spanning continents and embracing innovation. And that's not all. We don't just invest blindly in technology. We specialize in industry-specific technology investments that take expertise and innovation to the next level. Our sweet spot? Green energy commercial vehicles. From the upstream elements of batteries and energy storage to the downstream applications of hydrogen fuel, we're strategically positioned to seize the immense potential within this sector. As industries evolve, we adapt and grow alongside them, bringing you investment opportunities that align perfectly with the latest industry trends and demands. There's more. We understand the power of tangible assets and the strategic growth potential of real estate. Through trusted joint venture partnerships, we concentrate our efforts on commercial, industrial, and logistics real estate opportunities in prime markets such as Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Our tailored approach ensures we stay one step ahead, maximizing the potential returns on these incredible investments. In addition to the single asset class strategy, our multi-asset strategy, a comprehensive investment approach that focuses on technology and real estate investments. Our strategy is like a finely tuned instrument, capturing the rhythm of the market and playing the most rewarding notes. By being nimble and seizing opportunities, we combine the power of property and technology sectors. In the world of investing, balance is the secret sauce that makes all the difference. Our multi-asset strategy creates a symphony of diverse investments, blending the strengths of various asset classes. This harmonious blend not only reduces risks, but also aims for extraordinary returns that will leave you wanting an encore. Now, let me introduce you to the remarkable team driving these strategies. Our combined expertise totals more than 100 years across various industries. First, about myself. I have over 20 years' experience in PwC and listed companies in Australia and China. specializing in IPO and M&A activities in a broad range of sectors, including technology, agriculture, and healthcare. My collective deals are valued at over $5 billion. I had also served as the chairman and non-executive director of various companies. Additionally, I am a chartered accountant and a member of the Australian Institute of Company Directors. Jackie is the co-founder and CIO with over 20 years' experience in the investment and financial service industry, especially in venture capital management and M&A services. She focuses on investing and helping leading technology startups become successful globalized enterprises. She is a member of National Angel Investor Association of Canada. Jessica is a CFA charter holder with over 20 years of experience in the Canadian financial industry. Known for her entrepreneurial spirit, Jessica has a proven track record of forging strong investor relationships and delivering innovative solutions. Her career highlights include her role as regional sales manager at Franklin Templeton Investments and founding several successful investment consulting firms. Jasmine brings a robust background in investment banking and commercial real estate funds to her role as vice president. With a sharp focus on early and growth stage investments, she excels in deal origination, market research, financial analysis, modeling, and valuation. Fei serves as vice president, based in Shanghai, China. Through her tenure, Fei has cultivated an extensive network, including domestic and international incubators, listed companies, and investment institutions. William is an entrepreneur and co-founder of Jade Culture Capital, specializing in investment and asset management across industries like biotechnology, new energy, and ESG. He also serves as the Secretary General of the Australia Shandong Chamber of Commerce and is the visionary founder of Foodao, an Australian chain restaurant brand. Jeff, the director at Hengi Pacific since 2011, has extensive expertise in real estate development. With a background in financial markets and regulatory compliance, his diverse experience contributes to the company's growth. Starting his real estate journey in China in 2004, Jeff gained valuable insights into property development. Jane, a legal expert with over 20 years of experience. Specializing in cross-border M&A and direct investment transactions, Jane has worked in diverse sectors, including mining, energy, agriculture, manufacturing, and retail. She's collaborated with top law firms and served as a director for multiple Australian companies. Tim is an experienced professional with 15 years of global experience in fostering innovation and tech project expansion. He has represented the Beijing Municipal Science and Technology Commission and Z-Park Committee in France and the UAE. Specializing in cross-border e-commerce and international technology projects, Tim drives the growth of traditional businesses through technological innovation. Now let's talk about what we see opportunities in current market. We are optimistic about the technology investment in near future due to the following factors. Firstly, the current mid to late stage technology equity investment market has been the most investor-friendly since 2013. Due to the economic slowdown in past 2 or 3 years, the valuations of mid to late stage technology companies have reached to a reasonable level. Secondly, we notice that VC invests less in number, but increase the ticket size of the investment. This happens across early stage to late stage companies. Third, the VC firms still have record high dry powder to be deployed, and the startups are more capital efficient, and founders are more realistic about the business growth with focus on profitability instead of burning money for growth. Last but not least, it is the IPO market gradually opening and the market expectation of central banks' normalization of their monetary policy. We see this as a good timing to search for companies with great potential, reasonable valuation, and foreseeable exit pathway. Here are 3 areas we see great opportunities to invest. First is Gen AI application and digitalization. Second is sustainability and circular economy. Third is green energy commercial vehicles. I will talk about it one by one. First, generative AI is a rapidly evolving technology that leverages machine learning algorithms to generate new data, such as text, images, audio, and even video. This technology holds immense potential across various sectors, offering unprecedented opportunities for innovation, efficiency, and new business models. Gen AI has a broad application into different industries. Here I just talk about 3 areas we focused. Let's commence with the healthcare and life sciences sector. Envision the revolutionary potential of AI-driven drug discovery platforms and personalized healthcare solutions, redefining the way we combat diseases. Additionally, advanced medical imaging and diagnostics are pushing boundaries in healthcare advancements. Complementing these breakthroughs, virtual health assistants and chatbots play a pivotal role in guiding individuals towards optimal wellness. Shifting our focus to education and training, AI-powered adaptive learning platforms have ushered in a new era of accessible education. Imagine the automation of content generation for courses and textbooks, while virtual tutoring and mentoring systems provide tailored guidance to learners. Augmenting these advancements, interactive educational simulations and games foster engaging and immersive learning experiences. Now, let's explore the realm of entertainment and media. Prepare to be mesmerized by AI-generated music, art, and video content. Sophisticated visual effects and animation techniques bring a whole new level of realism to multimedia productions. Elevating user experiences, personalized content recommendation engines ensure a curated selection of engaging and relevant entertainment choices. Additionally, virtual and augmented reality technologies transport audiences to captivating realms of immersive storytelling. Secondly, investing in sustainability and the circular economy involves supporting technologies and processes that minimize waste, promote recycling, and create sustainable products. What we focus on, the solution to plastic pollution and environmental commodities market platform. Plastic pollution is a pervasive and growing environmental crisis. Let me break down how severe the situation is. Every year, we produce over 380 million metric tons of plastic. Imagine that. Unfortunately, a significant portion of this plastic ends up as waste, not properly managed or recycled. It's heartbreaking to realize that approximately 8 million metric tons of plastic find their way into our oceans annually. To put this in perspective, it's like dumping a garbage truck full of plastic into the ocean every single minute. The ocean's large circular currents, known as gyres, trap enormous amounts of plastic waste. For example, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, one of the most infamous gyres, contains an estimated 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic, weighing about 80,000 metric tons. These tiny plastic particles are everywhere. They permeate our water bodies, soils, and even the air we breathe. Studies estimate that we ingest tens of thousands of microplastic particles each year through our food, water, and air. This pervasive presence of microplastics in our environment is a silent but severe aspect of plastic pollution. Our commitment to tackling the global issue of plastic pollution is driven by our relentless pursuit of cutting-edge solutions. We are at the forefront of developing biodegradable plastics and advancing recycling technologies that directly address the root cause of this environmental challenge. Another area. We see significant potential in the environmental commodities market platform. which plays a crucial role in facilitating the trading of carbon credits and renewable energy certificates. By investing in this area, we aim to support global energy transformation and drive progress toward a more sustainable future. This platform enables businesses and organizations to trade carbon credits, allowing them to offset their carbon emissions and comply with environmental regulations. It also supports the trading of renewable energy certificates, promoting the adoption of clean energy sources. Through these mechanisms, the platform helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions and encourages the transition to renewable energy, making a meaningful impact on the environment and contributing to the fight against climate change. By investing in the environmental commodities market platform, we are committed to fostering innovation and sustainability in the energy sector, ultimately supporting a global shift towards cleaner, more efficient energy solutions. Last but not least, we see tremendous potential in the green energy commercial vehicle sector, which focuses on developing sustainable transportation solutions, particularly for heavy-duty and extended range applications. Our key areas of investment include hybrid vehicle developer, developing vehicles that combine lithium battery and hydrogen energy, targeting sectors like mining and logistics with cutting-edge hybrid technology, commercial green energy, vehicle manufacturer, focusing on green energy solutions for commercial vehicles, developing extended range and heavy-duty applications, innovating in electric and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. In conclusion, remember Warren Buffett's words, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." This philosophy drives our approach, pushing us to seize opportunities where others see challenges. Let's invest in evolution, emerge with greatness.
Hi, my name is Frances MacDonald and I'm a founder and director at Capstone Income Fund. Capstone Income Fund is an Australian real estate debt fund, and real estate debt is a great asset to add to your portfolio because it offers double-digit returns, it has less volatility than equities, greater yield than fixed income, and overall is a great diversification strategy for your investment portfolio. Let me get into who we are and what we do. I'll skip over the T's and C's and go into what is this opportunity that's available. And there's a unique opportunity for non-bank lenders in the market to generate outsized returns. And that's because traditional banks have retreated from certain segments of the market that has allowed non-bank lenders to come in and realize returns at a premium to those received by banks in underserved parts of the market. And also borrowers in some segments really favor non-bank lenders for their speed and their flexibility. On the investor side, private credit has been the alternative asset class of 2023. In the period we've had of volatility, inflation, and macroeconomic uncertainty, private credit has been very attractive as a yield strategy and diversification source. At Capstone Income Fund, our fundamental strategy is to deliver outsized returns relative to risk to our investors. We do that through investing in a diversified portfolio of registered mortgages. We target higher interest rate short-term loans. Our loans are generally 6 to 12 months in tenor, and that actually minimizes our risk profile because it means we are less exposed to longer-term market volatility, and we're generally very aligned with our borrowers on the exit of the loans. The majority of our portfolio is first ranking security, which means we are first in line to be able to take over an asset to recoup our principal and our interest in if we need to. And we have very strong capital preservation in our fund. Not only do we invest in very deep liquid areas around key cities, but we also have a conservative LVR, which is our loan to value ratio of 60%, meaning there is $100 of value underpinning your investment for every $60 we've lent, giving significant headroom for market fluctuations. Our offer to our investor base is a consistent, high yield, passive income stream of 10% per annum. We have a very flexible product, giving monthly distributions and no lock-in periods. And a really attractive thing about real estate debt is the level of security underpinning your investment. At Capstone Income Fund, we have multiple lines of defence. We have a conservative LVR backed by real assets. We're primarily first mortgages. We have strong processes in place. We have strong contractual protections, and also management is invested as a first loss investor. That means our capital is at risk before there's any risk to investor capital, offering true skin in the game and another line of defence on your investment. Now let's take a step back and go, why would you invest in real estate debt? Rather than going, for example, direct property investment, which has long been a source of resilience and growth for investors. Investing in a real estate debt fund allows you to get exposure to the property market while minimizing the risk and effort. It has greater liquidity and lower upfront costs when compared to if you were to purchase a property directly. Now, the key thing that I find really attractive about real estate debt is, one, it is an asset-backed security. There are real assets underpinning your investment. Second, debt is higher up in the capital stack, and if anything goes wrong, we are repaid first. So you see on the right-hand side, equity takes more of the price volatility, while debt doesn't look to underperform or overperform, but we are repaid first, lowering the risk profile. The third thing that's really important in debt is the loan-to-value ratio, that we always lend to something where there is more value than our loan, so that can give us more headroom for the ups and downs of the market. From a returns perspective, real estate debt is high yield and has less volatility than other asset classes. What you can see on this slide is the most recent term deposit rate of 4.55%. That is quite equivalent to a risk-free rate, and you can see on the right-hand side how that compounds over time. Equities in comparison, here we're looking at the Australian All Ordinaries over the last 5 years, and that's been extremely volatile. We've had recovery in most recent times, but due to the volatile nature of equities, it's always good to balance your portfolio with other assets to act as a shock absorber. Real estate debt and Capstone Income Fund in particular, what we see here is a consistent compounding 10% return. That offers a really stable, reliable, regular income source where you can see how that grows over time, and that's really attractive about real estate debt. Just to give you a little bit more flavour of actually what do we do and what do we invest in. As I've mentioned, we have a diversified portfolio of short tenor loans, generally 6 to 12 months, and some of our key categories are residual stock, bridging loans and land deals. What you can see here is some of the assets that we have invested in. So on the left-hand side, this is a wonderful apartment building in Redcliffe, Queensland. Queensland, as many would know, has had a boom in the property market. In this asset, the developer has finished the construction of an apartment building, and their construction facility has come to an end, and they need a short loan to get them through the sale of the remaining apartments. You'll see in this one, we have a value of 2.6 million, term of 12 months, and an LVR of 66%. This is a great asset for our fund because it's a very low risk profile. In this instance, a number of the apartments were actually already pre-sold, so you've got a really good indicator of value, and the exit's very clear. In the middle, you see a beautiful building in Mosman. This is a bridging loan, 3.6 million of value, a very short term, and a very low LVR. So again, a very clear exit for this loan. On the third category, you see a land deal that we've done in New South Wales for 2.5 million. In this instance, the developer was in between planning approvals, and once they got their DA, they would then refinance to a construction facility. With land deals, we always look to have a lower LVR, given it is a land deal. So that's an example of what we do. Some of the key takeaways about our fund that I want to leave you with is we have a 10% return with very strong risk metrics of 60% portfolio LVR. Over 85% of our portfolio is first registered mortgages. We have a strong track record in place. We've been operating over 5 years as a non-bank lender. We've done nearly 100 loans actually with no capital loss, and we've always met our 10% return in this fund. We are putting our money where our mouth is, and management is invested as a first loss investor, offering another line of defence to your investment and showing that we really stand behind our business model. And we also seek to offer a really flexible product to our investors, meaning there is no lock-in period, and also you get monthly distributions so you can see that return coming into your account every month. We are open to wholesale investors with investments starting from $100,000 I'd love to have a chat with anyone who's interested, so please reach out or come and download IM. Thank you.
Thank you to the CapitalHQ Group. We're extremely excited to present this opportunity. I am Rohan Dhawan, and I'm the Executive Director leading Yetta. Yetta is a leading AI-driven B2B retail intelligence platform. We help both the brands and the retailers within the retail industry help optimize margin and save time. We've grown ARR by over 150% year on year with extremely sticky customers, and we're ready to scale. A recent study conducted by KPMG indicated, to no one's surprise, that the cost of living continued to trend upward from 23 to 24. It's due to that, it was also to no one's surprise, that the most common goal for retailers in Australia is to increase margin, well ahead of increasing turnover. The problem that we solve are essentially threefold: the lack of accurate, reliable data, the lack of daily, live, dynamic data, and the lack of insights. What do you do with the data once you have it? The solutions that we offer help tackle these three concerns head on. Pricing Insights is a market intelligence platform that helps aggregate a bunch of data from various sources, including online and catalog, to the likes of revenue managers and marketing teams that are using this tool every single day to help optimize margin. Dynamic pricing is an AI-driven repricing engine for retailers to help adjust pricing based on rules they set and what's happening in the market and competitors. PriceBot is a widget that we've built to help fuel and deliver retailers low price guarantee or brand promise to their customers. And this is what it looks like on the Good Guys website. We're extremely proud about the customers that we currently work with. We currently work with 8 out of the 10 largest liquor brands in the world. We also work with some household names like the Good Guys, Harvey Norman, Officeworks, and Maya. As you'd also notice that we currently focus on specific categories and verticals, and we're ready to scale and take this exact same technology to other verticals and other countries. Why these customers choose to use Yetta is extremely easy to understand, however hard to execute. We provide accurate, reliable, and consistent data. How we do this is by having IP that's underpinned by AI and ML processes within our crawling, matching, masking, and analyzing tasks. What this allows retailers and brands to do is optimize inventory, how staff spend their time in analyzing data and how much time they spend doing that, and also the key concern of inflation and pricing pressures to their consumers, ultimately helping them increase and optimize margin and save time. Our competitive advantage lies in the fact that we have both onshore and offshore teams that have been doing this every single day. Over the last couple of years, they've also harnessed critical know-how to ensure that these processes are reliable, accurate, and consistent. We also have AI and human-in-the-loop interventions that ensures that our data is over 98.5% accurate. We also win tenders and RFPs purely due to the fact that we've built a SaaS platform that's extremely intuitive and easy to use by anyone. The total addressable market just within ANZ and just within the verticals that we currently operate within is over $40 billion. However, more importantly, the amount of money spent by retailers and brands within these categories just in ANZ on data analytics and marketing is over $6 billion. And that's the exciting opportunity that we're going after. Our track record has been extremely impressive, if I should say so myself, but we're only just getting started. From winning global RFPs from the likes of Coca-Cola and Campari, to a consumer electronics brand manufacturer based out of China, Meidi, and to one of the largest Australian retailers, Maya, who we're just getting started with. We've also proven that our technology can be scaled globally. This is by initiating a proof of concept with one of the largest global liquor brands, which will see our data and technology used over 150 different countries. This also commences our international growth expansion strategy. Talking about our growth strategy, it's one that is extremely low risk and high return. What that sees us do is replicate the success we've had in ANZ and take that globally with our existing multinational partners, and also open up our technology to other larger verticals that are also feeling the pricing pressures, such as FMCG and health and beauty. We're also in constant communication with global enterprise solutions that can be complementary add-ons to our existing insights. Whilst we scale, however, we're being extremely diligent about our fundamentals. Our 20-month cost trend has gone down 30%, whilst our ARR has grown 150% year on year. We're also extremely proud to have a 2-year customer retention average of 90%. Some of our highlights. We're in an extremely high growth theme, with data analytics being at the forefront of every brand and retailer to acquire to better understand their consumers and their market trends. We have a proven SaaS model with enterprise logos and with over a 90% client retention rate. We have extremely sticky customers with the average customer lifetime value of over 3 years. We're also looking to diversify into other larger markets that are also feeling the pricing pressures, and we'll have a very low risk global expansion strategy that will see us piggyback off our existing clients into international markets. We've strengthened the balance sheet led by quality leadership and also industry experts. We're looking for $2 million to fund existing growth and scale this business globally. I'd be happy to answer any questions and also show you a live demo should you be interested. Thank you for the opportunity.
Good morning, my name is Ben Willett, and today I'm excited to present an exciting opportunity to disrupt an industry that's begging for change. Priority One is about to upend the car wash and automotive industry with a membership platform that's ready to transform the way that people care for their vehicles. The business is operational, it's transacting, and it's now offering an opportunity for investors looking to see an immediate growth and be part of a future household name product. The automotive industry on a global scale has continued to evolve year on year, but car ownership and usage is just not what it used to be. Uber is now used by 22.9% of the population, up from about 6.6% just 3 years ago. The rideshare model has overtaken the industry, with the number of Uber drivers increasing year on year, and supported by more than now 20,000 drivers across the country in Australia alone. Car exchanges are at an all-time high, as drivers are more keen than ever to get hold of their dream car. And with the number of growing vehicles on our roads, servicing demands, of course, followed suit. Overall, we're a country that absolutely love our cars, because we love nothing more than having a car sparkling clean. The root of the problem that we've identified in the car wash industry is that it's mature, it's complicated, and it's hard to navigate for the average driver. You'll see offers from premium washers to platinum washers, super washers, and some more, all with small print and variable inclusions that are hard to keep up with for the everyday driver. Now, our mission is to make car care easy, affordable, and convenient for everyone. We're going to bring a modern application of technology to an outdated and cumbersome industry, where Priority One is in a very unique position to basically completely overhaul the car wash space with a platform and a solution that's ready to scale. So just quickly about how we got here today. Priority One was the brainchild of some senior execs and industry experts across the fleet and automotive industries, picked up and developed then by the Secure Auto Group, who I'm sure you would know the most recognizable brand there, Secure Parking, starting with just one car park in Sydney to then growing and becoming the largest car park operator globally. Some other brands that you'll see as well include Clip Assist and Concierge Car Wash, which all provide perfect synergies within Priority One, helping us get to the point we're at now. The solution that we have is innovative. It's a new approach to the industry aggregation trends that you've seen over the past few years. And with an initial solution for the car wash space on its own, we're actually positioned to challenge a few other industry standards using voucher and subscription memberships to manage a platform and aggregate other industries too. The MVP that we launched in early 2024, following a really successful market feasibility and pilot phase, actually ended up with all of our pilot sites coming on board as transacting customers for the business. The solution that we put together is simple, right? So we've got 12-month unlimited car wash subscriptions that come at a retail price of $995 to drivers. And these are typically sold by your car dealerships, your fleet companies, leasing businesses for a profit margin of roughly $450 to themselves. We also then offer or allow our local mechanics and workshops to include single-use vouchers into the logbook services at a fraction of the rate that they would be doing if they were taking a car down to the local car wash themselves. These memberships and vouchers that are activated by the customers are then free to be redeemed at the largest network of car washes in Australia, giving them complete convenience and the choice of only the top-rated hand car washes nationwide. Located in things like shopping centres, car parks, and some other popular spots, accessibility is really in the core of what we're trying to do. Who we work with ranges from consumers up to rideshare and everything in between. We are essentially aiming to work with the largest automotive groups in the country, your local mechanic, and every rideshare driver in the country. And what the solution is something that's going to meet all their needs. So where do we go from there? The solution architecture that we've designed is actually able to be configured for other industries, as I mentioned earlier, opening the business up then to an even larger market opportunity. So you can imagine a coffee subscription or vouchers for your favorite florist potentially. This is all part of the future and what really excites us about the business. So what that means is that while we're focused on the car wash and automotive industry disruption initially, that's valued at 605 million in annual recurring revenue as our total addressable market. But there's then also an opportunity to scale this platform into aggregating other industries, representing what's essentially $1 billion plus in annual recurring revenue and more. Whilst these massive market sizes are great to acknowledge, what we have done is put together a really strategic plan to achieve a growth result of $1 million in monthly recurring revenue by the end of 2026. And at the moment, with the pipeline valued at more than 2.5 million in monthly recurring revenue, we have the market connectivity and the roadmap to achieve this if we have the right support. Today, what we're asking is interested investors to connect with us, find out more about our business plan and go-to-market strategy and the partnerships that we need to get there. What we need to do is boost the business with $1 million of seed funding in exchange for ordinary shares, which will allow us to convert our weighted pipeline and then invest in the security, the stability, and the user experience of the technology, which is, again, really at the heart of the business that we have here. So please connect with me. You have my contact information on the screen now, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Hi there, I'm Adam Good, and I'm the founder of Auric Essentials, recently nominated as the Australian Startup of the Year. And I'm here to tell you how we're poised to revolutionize how you think about wellness technology. Now, I want you to imagine walking into a room in your home and feeling instantly more calm, more focused, more energized. And it's not because of what you see or hear, but because of what you smell. Now, aromas, especially those from nature, profoundly impact our well-being. Yet surprisingly, this potent sense remains largely untapped in the tech world until now. Auric Essentials is bridging this gap by creating the first wellness technology that harnesses the power of scent to enhance mental health and productivity. Introducing the Auric Aromasphere. Auric is an AI-powered diffuser and proprietary system that integrates IoT technology with personalized aromatherapy. It's there to transform your home environment to promote well-being, to seamlessly fit into your personal and professional spaces. Now, why should you care? Because in a world where digital distractions are the norm, Auric offers a unique solution that appeals directly to our most primal sense. It establishes an immediate, visceral connection to wellness. And it isn't just about feeling good. It's about leveraging this untapped potential to revolutionize how we interact with our environments, to enhance our quality of life and productivity. So why Auric now? The global wellness economy is booming. It's driven by consumer investment and emerging technology. It stands at a mammoth $4.3 trillion worldwide. Now, there are a number of growth drivers. I'll focus on a few. The rising demand of personalization, the growth need of a health-conscious lifestyle, the rise of biometrics, things like Apple Health, Oura rings, sleep beds, and the advancements in mental health. Now, the sense of smell is a product category that remains untapped in the modern wellness tech-driven landscape. The healing powers of essential oils and aromatherapy remain a significant market for major growth, integration, partnerships, and expansion. Now, the problem is traditional aromatherapy faces a core dilemma. The product utilizes a one-size-fits-all model that no longer is valued in a market demanding technology integration and personalization. It's messy to blend, it's marketed to a niche, it's low-tech and not connected, and has a lack of consumer knowledge about their benefits. Our solution is a connected diffuser. It's powered by an intelligent algorithm to deliver highly personalized wellness platform that blends ancient aromatherapy with new age data-driven technology. Auric merges a cutting-edge AI-powered wellness signature algorithm that is patent pending, that powers the Auric Aromasphere. It learns and adapts to the individual user needs, delivering a bespoke aromatherapy experience. Auric is the elegance of e-soap. It's the functionality of Sonus, and it's the simplicity of Nespresso. Auric is built on 3 core pillars: intuitive-driven data technology with customized wellness experience to foster a scientifically proven stress-free lifestyle. The first pillar is leveraging data from wearable technology. Over 1 billion people have wearable technology that creates the aromatherapy experience. The second pillar is our Auric Wellbeing Signature that compiles the data to offer the essential oil blend to suit the user's needs and their goals. And the third pillar is our TGA-approved essential oils. Now, what Auric will be is convergence of 2 multiple growth adjacent markets: the 520 global wellness tech and the 13.5 aromatherapy market. This allows for strong revenue capture. The initial market is all focused on Australia before we target into international markets, Asia, and the USA. We've conservatively modeled out a 5-year revenue forecast with the current domestic market worth 8.4 million, and financial estimates are indicating that we can ramp up to 42,000 units within the next 4 years, achieving revenues of over 50 million. Now, the business model is a hardware recurring revenue model. We have subscriptions from the repeat purchase of essential oils. The device itself is profitable as it goes out the door, but then we have the ongoing repeat purchase of essential oils that can range from anywhere from $100 to $300 per year. Now, the user journey is that we're very much targeted on the wellness enthusiast. They're already deeply integrated into biometric technology, fitness trackers, health monitoring, and as I said, over 1 billion people worldwide are using this to actively engage in their health and their fitness tracking. Auric is positioned to highly motivate into this market to enhance their ability to react into this holistic regime that they're seeking. We also see busy professionals, anxiety sufferers, and sleep sufferers as a key target. Now, we have an established multidisciplinary team that's been together bootstrapping this for 2 years. We're passionate about wellness and we're pioneers in IoT, therapeutic essential oils, industrial design, mixed reality, and biometrics. The traction today, we've had solid POCs, MVPs, and we're in our final prototype. We've secured partnerships with Beyond Blue as our mental health business supporter, Sonus as our spatial audio partner. We have a wellness algorithm that's patent pending. We won the mental health tech at the Global Super Connect for Good competition last year, and we've opened a pre-seed, already secured $268,000. And just recently, we were nominated to attend the Antler Acceleration Program from August to really supercharge our market entry. And as we said, we are the Australian Startup of the Year currently, and will represent Australia at the Entrepreneur World Cup in the Middle East in November, competing for over $50 million in capital. But what we have on offer today is part of our $500,000 pre-seed. We're looking for $100,000, which would represent 5% of equity in the company. We're taking minimal check sizes of $10,000. What we'll be doing with that is launching our Auric Aromasphere and putting 500 units on the cloud, which we already have owners for. We'll have a number of app downloads that we want to reach, and also establish a connection rate with the device and understand more deeply about our subscription model, as well as to secure 2 B2B partnerships. Now, the future of wellness is, as we see, as a sensory connected IoT experience. Spatial audio, connected lighting, on-demand heating and cooling, and virtual reality extensions are going to be in the future IoT home. And we also see aromas as a big part of that. So we want to create a world where wellness is woven into everyday life, powered by scent. So thank you very much for listening to the Auric Essentials pre-seed offer. Reach out to auricnow.com or this WhatsApp QR code to find out more. Thank you for your time. I'm Adam Good.
Hello, and welcome to the most innovative and disruptive data security solution in the world. Our company, Guardware Australia, is a mere few months from reaching a marketable product that will eliminate data theft once and for all. My name is Alan Rankins, and I am the Chief Executive Officer of Guardware Australia, a small but rapidly growing software house that has taken a completely different path to data protection. I lead a small but potent team of cyber and engineering experts and innovators who are data security experts. Our current products can analyse who is accessing data in your organisation and routinely advise you where it is going. That is pretty powerful in its own right. But after a decade of self-investment, Guardware is ready to disrupt the cyber paradigm. The current norm is billions are spent building walls and vaults around data, which try to make it hard for bad actors from gaining access to data. But underlying data still remains vulnerable, and all it takes is one small hole and all data is lost. The truth is, this old method of building walls around data has failed. Breaches are increasing exponentially, and it is now time we solve the problem at the source, and that by focusing on securing the data itself in such a way that it makes it unhackable. And that is our solution. Guardware's unique approach to this problem is by controlling and protecting the data itself, all the time using persistent encryption. As data is protected all the time, it doesn't matter if it's stolen or hacked or maliciously copied by a trusted insider. Your data remains secure and you are in control all of the time. With Guardware, Medibank and Optus, to name 2, would not have been held to ransom, as stolen data would be unreadable. And let me tell you, no other software has this total capability. All existing potential competitors either provide partial protection focused on some data, or partial control, or partial visibility. Guardware is the only solution that provides 100% visibility, 100% protection, and 100% control all of the time. And it even works with large enterprise solutions such as SAP and on video files and all proprietary data formats. Imagine this scenario. I have a sensitive or classified file of any type, but let's say it is an industrial secret drawing CAD pack. With Guardware, I wrap the file with our unique encryption technology. And you may say, yes, but many others use encryption. Hang on, there's more. My staff member takes a drawing out of that CAD file, and the first surprise, it remains encrypted while the staff member is working on it. The staff member uploads the drawing to an email. Again, it remains encrypted. The staff member sends it to a competitor by mistake. It is still encrypted, and the competitor doesn't have the key, so it will never open. The staff member tries to take a screenshot, but the image is blank. Finally, the file is sent to the manufacturer chosen to build the part. That supply chain member has the key, but only those you have authorised can open the file. By the way, you can see what is happening to that file all the way down the supply chain if you want to, and turn off the key. It can be on a timer too. Also, Guardware's solution will be quantum secure. Now think about that piece of data being your Medibank record. The hacker would have stolen it, as he did, but the data is fully protected. What about a sensitive nuclear submarine design file? A US company wants to transmit to an Australian or UK partner, but is sceptical that appropriate and effective protection will be in place. Guardware data file protection can be monitored from an international location and turned on and off at will. How can you be sure this works? Well, we have the prototype done and dusted, and it is in use today. Is it just us saying that our product does this? No, we have had the software independently reviewed by cyber experts from the University of New South Wales and CGI, the world's biggest system integrator. Come and see it for yourself. Call us and do a demo. Guardware knows data security from an existing client base. We have a growing list of customers using our existing Guardware modules in various sectors, from defence, manufacturing, education, finance, telcos, and more, supported by a growing network of channel partners. Guardware is ready to disrupt the paradigm. This customer base will serve as the bedrock just as soon as the encryption module is available, and will account for fast take-up and growth. And you are truly looking at a global market. Every organisation on the planet will need Guardware because everyone has some form of data they want to secure. In 5 years, Guardware-style solutions will become as synonymous as antivirus. Guardware will revolutionise supply chain security and IP sharing and all collaborative work. And there is a huge untapped market that is the small to medium enterprises. There are at least 1 million of these in Australia alone. Guardware is infinitely scalable and the only solution that is affordable to these SMEs. It is easy to use, transparent, and will solve the security challenges for the SMEs. Our extremely conservative estimates, accounting for only a few sectors in the UK and the US and Australia, place our 5-year revenue at over $168 million, just 5% of the accessible market we will be targeting. We are seeking $5 million capital to finish the development of our encryption product and supercharge our marketing. Our company has undertaken due diligence legally and financially, and we are ready to go. We have the development pathway well mapped. Join us on this exciting journey of innovation, and let's beat both the outside hacker and the inside threat. Even Julian Assange would have been unknown if the US government had Guardware. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ishan Dan, founder and CEO of Regenex. Thank you for joining me today to discuss an exciting opportunity in the impact investment space. At Regenex, we make it easier and more accessible for capital providers to support climate positive projects by providing much needed capital as well as aligning your portfolio with your values. So firstly, we'll go through the market opportunity. Impact investing is no longer a niche market. Over 85% of emerging affluent millennials demand impact investments, and we're witnessing a $3.5 trillion transfer from boomers to millennials, creating a huge market opportunity for platforms like ours. Currently, the demand for Australian impact investments is projected to grow from 20 billion to 100 billion over the next 5 years. So to get started, to explain our platform, meet Sarah. Sarah is an impact investor who wants to invest in projects that matter to her, but she faces significant barriers such as limited accessibility, illiquidity, and lack of transparency. Sarah needs a platform that offers easy access to high quality, climate positive projects with flexible investment options and clear performance insights. Now meet Dennis. Dennis is Sarah's wealth advisor. Dennis is equally frustrated by the lack of viable, transparent impact investment options for his clients. He needs a reliable platform that provides diverse, transparent, and liquid investment opportunities to recommend to his clients like Sarah. Now finally meet Greg. Greg is a solar power developer and desperately in need of funding. Greg faces significant challenges in securing funding for his innovative solar projects through the traditional means, such as using a costly fund manager. He needs a streamlined funding solution that connects him with impact investors, simplifies the fundraising process, and provides support for regulatory compliance and project success. So if we go through the problems, the current market faces several issues: limited accessibility, high illiquid climate assets, high minimum investment requirements, and a lack of transparency into underlying assets. For product developers like Greg, securing funding is a significant challenge with high failure rates. So our solution is simple. Regenex offers a platform that removes restrictive investment barriers. It effectively lowers the costs, provides transparency about where your money's going. It ensures liquidity for investors and using live data to show the positive impact of one's investments. Our platform streamlines funding for product developers and offers support services via an intuitive dashboard. So who are our stakeholders? Our target market includes impact investors, their wealth advisors or family offices, all seeking to align their investments with sustainability and impact investment goals. On the product developer side, we focus on climate positive project entrepreneurs and fund managers dedicated to sustainability and renewable energy. So how does it all work? With Regenex, you can buy a small piece of a big project. What we do is we break down, say for argument's sake, a solar power project into smaller, more affordable digital shares. That way, you can see exactly where your money's going, you can track the project's performance, and you can sell your digital shares if you need to. Our platform removes restrictive barriers, making it easier for more people to join and invest. So what's our competitive advantage? Our platform leverages blockchain technology, that's asset tokenization technology, for secure, transparent, and efficient transactions. We've partnered with the ASX, Australian Stock Exchange, with KPMG's High Growth Ventures team, with Startup Bootcamp, and a climate analytics provider called Mistio to enhance our platform's credibility and functionality, providing compliance, real-time data integration, and support services. So how do we make money? Regenex operates on a SaaS-based business model, generating revenue through various streams. We charge financial advisors an annual license fee to access the platform. We charge a capital raising fee ranging from 1% to 2% on the primary capital raised for sustainable project developers. For fund setup and administration, we charge a flat dollar fee covering services like administration, marketing, custody, enhanced liquidity through asset tokenization. We also charge subscription fees to provide a premium service to access advanced features such as detailed analytics, weather prediction, sophisticated investment tools, and white-labeled dashboard services, together with research reports, marketing, and PR. And here is our winning team, Regenex. We've got a strong and diverse team driving our mission forward. I'm Ishan Dan, the CEO and founder, and I come with a 20-year background in wealth management and capital markets. Laura Harris, our product manager, is our leading developer. Is leading the development of our prototype and MVP. Daniel Tuore, our CTO and product manager, is an expert in Scrum and project management. Nick Kumaran, co-founder of Mistio, and Annamalali, our design leads for UX and UI, are contractors providing critical expertise. And Nat McGarvey, our BDM and sales lead, focuses on impact and client growth. So what traction and milestones have we achieved so far? We've successfully completed a prototype intuitive dashboard, and we are completing our proof of concept with a major solar power developer to demonstrate our platform's effectiveness. In the next 12 months, our goal is to launch the platform, onboard 200 users, and support 20 climate positive projects. Looking further ahead, we plan to expand internationally into Singapore and Dubai, continuously enhancing our platform and driving significant process towards achieving net zero. So thank you for your time. We're looking to raise between 50,000 to 100,000 in the next 3 months to accelerate our platform development, target user acquisition, and enhance security and UX UI features. We invite you to join us in this impactful journey. So please feel free to reach out to me at ishan@regenex.io for more details, because together we can make impact investing simple and accessible for everyone. Thank you.
Hi, and welcome everyone to the Capital HQ Online Investment Showcase. Today, we've got a very special panel session, something which I've been wanting to do for some time now. The area of immunotherapy has been, I suppose, come on quite strong over the last sort of decade. And we're fortunate enough to work with several companies that are progressing quite well in this area. And I was speaking to Leslie, and everyone's probably seen the rise of sort of Imugene over the last 7 years, I should say, that I've sort of been. And to me, I thought it's just such an important topic. Obviously what happens when we talk about life science as an area, we can get sort of caught up in sort of terminology and the different trials and the phases and so forth. But this, to me, is just such an important area that I really want to put more of a spotlight on it for investors that, number one, got an interest in life science, or number two, have got family members that have been impacted, by cancer in some sort of way, because obviously immunotherapy has become one of the most featured areas. And obviously from a patient outcome perspective, it does have the potential to make a significant difference. So to start this off, I just love everyone to give a bit of an introduction to themselves and a little bit of a bio about their company. So I'll start with you and how I see it. So I'll start with you, Rebecca.
Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Dr. Rebecca McQualter, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer and Acting CEO of Chimeric Therapeutics. And at Chimeric Therapeutics, we're bringing cell therapy to more cancer patients, focused on cell therapy and solid tumours. Handing over
to Graham.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me. So I am the chairman of Sire Therapeutics. We're an immuno-oncology company developing what are called bispecific antibodies for the treatment of prostate cancer. And as well, I'm also the CEO of a company called Myrio Therapeutics, which is also developing bispecific antibodies for a range of different indications. And Sire is a spin-out from Myrio Therapeutics. My background, I'm an industrial chemist with a PhD in chemistry, and I've spent a lot of time helping to build and manage companies as well as raising funds for those companies.
And in life science, that's always required, Graham.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over to you, Ian.
Thanks, Steve. My name's Ian Nisbet. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Cartherix. At Cartherix, we're developing the next generation of cellular immunotherapies. So we have a stem cell-based platform where we're able to very precisely genetically engineer the stem cells and then convert those cells into different types of functional immune cells, with a primary focus initially on natural killer or NK cells.
Fantastic. And last but not least, Leslie.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. My name is Leslie Chung, and I'm the MD and CEO of Imugene. I have been with the company for over 9 years, and we've seen a myriad of various different immuno-oncology therapies. And currently, we're quite focused on a specific blood cancers with our allogeneic CAR T, as well as a friendly virus, unlike COVID, an oncolytic virus that fights off your solid tumors by replicating only in malignant and solid tumors. So I'm happy to report that all of our products are in the clinic, and all of our platform has at least, more than complete response. And then some of those patients are living 3.5 years out in remission.
Wow. So this is what got me really excited about it as well. And we'll deep dive into this as we go through the different questions. But just as a sort of starting statement for anyone sort of new to this area or new to life science or want to understand, immunotherapy represents basically a paradigm shift in cancer treatment. Unlike traditional therapies, it directly targets the cancer cells, and the immunotherapy harnesses the body's own immune system to actually fight cancer. And that was I suppose, which really sort of appealed to me from an approach. So, and what's important is it has the potential, as Leslie just sort of highlighted, to have longer lasting effects and can potentially work against multiple types of cancers, which you'll see as we go through in the different questions. Now, Graham, as a starting point, can you explain how immunotherapy treatment differs from traditional cancer treatments in terms of, patient outcomes and also side effects?
Thanks, Steve. So if you look at traditional treatments and tradition changes over periods of time, particularly when it comes to cancer, because it's such a rapidly evolving field. But you could basically say there are 3 major traditional treatments out there. If it's a solid tumor, that would include surgery. Then you have radiation therapy and also drug therapies, which would be cytotoxic drugs and even hormonal types of drugs. One must remember that in a tumor or cancer patient, it's these cancer cells which are reproducing at a far higher rate than healthy cells. So when one uses cytotoxic agents or radiation therapy, you're trying to hit those cancer cells without actually trying to affect the natural cells or the healthy cells, and that's a bit of a problem. So what one typically gets then are some nasty side effects. So rapidly evolving cells which are still healthy, such as hair follicle cells, could be the first ones to be hit as a side effect because you're trying to hit cancer cells as well, which are rapidly evolving. So those are some of the problems that one has with these traditional treatments. And of course, surgery comes with its own complications. So immunotherapeutics, as you eloquently put it there, seeks to destroy the cancer cells by assisting the body's immune system to kill them. And naturally, that would avoid killing healthy cells. But cancer cells can be very, very tricky, and they can become immune to immunotherapeutic treatments or regimens. So the trick in the field of immunotherapy is to identify a biochemical pathway that is robust to any changes that the cell may try and impart to develop immunity. And that is the challenge that faces most immunotherapeutic products out there. But immunotherapeutics, with our increased understanding of how the immune system works, how genomics works, proteomics, is a very fast-growing field now, which will rapidly overtake these traditional treatments rather.
Thanks, Graham. And I suppose that moves on to you, Ian, just given the approach that you guys are taking. Like, what are some of the most significant therapeutic breakthroughs in immunotherapy, that you feel have the potential to, I suppose, revolutionize that patient care aspect, given all those sort of factors that Graham was highlighting?
Yeah, so I think immunotherapy, and just to, I guess, provide a bit of a context on the general term. So, immunotherapy is basically using the immune system or manipulating the immune system to treat the disease. And, the concept of immunotherapy has been around for a long time. So people have played around with cancer vaccines for decades, trying to induce immune responses against cancers. And, sometimes it's worked, sometimes it has, well, most times it hasn't. I guess the big change in the last decade has been the advent of checkpoint inhibitors. So this is a field that didn't exist 15 years ago, and basically came out of the work of Jim Allison at MD Anderson Center, where he discovered checkpoints, things that actually block the function of T cells, of immune cells. And he was able to demonstrate that if you can inhibit those checkpoints, you can actually activate the cells. And so that's caused a huge change in the way that cancer has been treated for a number of different solid tumors. And the main product there, Keytruda, it is the largest selling drug. So last year it sold $25 billion in sales. That's a drug that didn't exist 10 years ago. So just a dramatic change in the thinking in the field, and demonstrating that by being able to manipulate the immune system, you can have profound impacts upon cancer. Our view at Cartherix is, the next big innovation in the field is cellular immunotherapies, where you're actually adding the immune cells back to the patients, because one of the problems with existing immunotherapies, things like checkpoint inhibitors, is you're relying on the patient's own immune cells to be activated. And sometimes, elderly patients, they don't have very good immune systems, or they've been knocked around with chemotherapy, and so the immune cell counts are down. And so you actually can't activate the existing immune cells very well because there aren't so many of them there, or they're not too healthy. And so what we're doing is adding in lots and lots of those very active immune cells into the patient. So in our view, that's the big new area opening up in the field of immunotherapy. So in particular, cellular immunotherapy.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ian. And just on your side, Rebecca, Chimeric is taking a sort of different approach. Do you internally, do you feel that immunotherapy has the potential to cure cancer, or just improve the actual patient outcomes?
Well, it has the potential for both. I think from what we've seen for CAR T cells in the past 10 years, the first patient who was treated with CAR T still doesn't have any signs of cancer. So I think you can safely say that she might be on a path to a cure. But we also have to acknowledge the really small wins. So if we take a rare disease with a high unmet need, if we get a few more months for that patient with a cellular immunotherapy, we're going to take it, because you can't put a price on somebody's time here.
Oh, exactly what Leslie said, with like an additional 3 years in some of their trials.
And even if it's months, we'll take that. So I think
correct.
At Chimeric Therapeutics, we're addressing a couple of nasty ones, so glioblastoma, gastric cancer, and pancreatic cancer for our new one coming through. So if, particularly for pancreatic cancer, it's a really quick, slippery slope. So if we can hasten that slope, that's a really good outcome.
Fantastic. And Leslie, for you, what are the different approaches to immunotherapy, and how do they differ in terms of, I suppose, how you approach them? Obviously, you said you've got 4 different trials going on, and then ultimately the patient outcomes.
So there are so many different immunotherapies. Ian mentioned the checkpoint inhibitors that came to rise roughly about 15 years ago, and then CAR Ts roughly about 11 years ago. These are when all those were, starting to get approval, and it formed a pillar of cancer therapeutics, which is this whole idea that awakening or unleashing your immune system can now rapidly go after your tumor where there wasn't before. So there are myriads of various different ways, and we're still learning the various different ways that we can untap your immune system via cancer vaccines, via CAR Ts or checkpoint inhibitors. I think we still need to refine those and continue our journey of making those better, because it's great that we can give a few weeks to life, few months to life, but I think we're all wanting that precious thing, which is to cure cancer at the end of the day, or certain kinds of cancer. So I think it's wonderful that immune systems are still just currently being untapped, and we're learning every day with our products. So at Imugene, we have a CAR T formulation that's after a very late stage lymphoma. We also have lots of solid tumor activity with our oncolytic viruses, and as well as our cancer vaccine. But it's just, I think it's wonderful to have these novel approaches and see activity. But I think the whole holy grail is to really get that remission to last longer than a few precious months.
Completely agree. And Graham, from a market from a market perspective, everyone sort of highlighted that this area is not new, but it obviously has had a bit more of a spotlight over the last sort of 5 to 10 years. And Leslie mentioned some of the sort of the key milestones. How do you foresee the market for immunotherapy, or even just technology in general, evolving over the next sort of 5 to 10 years? And what are the key factors that are driving this?
Well, I think many instances of market growth, one can simply go back to some of the basic economics. As you've pointed out, many individuals, families will be touched by someone who has had cancer, and the prevalence or the incidence, no matter which one you choose, will be increasing with an aging population. We've had successes with, as has been pointed out, with checkpoint inhibitors and other antibody approaches. But despite, for example, as Ian said, Keytruda coming up with $25 million in revenue, I think there is a broad agreement that these checkpoint inhibitors and some of the CAR T therapies, well, A, they're very expensive, but B, have not been as successful as one would like. We don't want, well, while every week and every month is precious, ultimately we want to try and get to a cure. So the science is developing quite rapidly. So, for example, here at SIRE, we're looking at something called bispecific antibodies, and this is specific for prostate cancer. So bispecific, one part of the antibody binds to the protein on the surface of the tumor cell, and another one binds to the T cell, and they brings it in together, and then the T cell kills the tumor cell. And we're targeting a specific antigen, and many of you and many of your viewers will be familiar with PSA tests for prostate cancer, which is prostate specific antigen, but no one has been able to actually target that for the treatment of prostate cancer, and that's what we're able to do, or what we are developing rather. So our bispecific antibody will target the PSA, the prostate-specific antigen, that allows us to attack the tumor right at its source, inside the prostate gland. So it's these sorts of developments and processes which will drive the actual demand side as well for the treatment of cancer. And I think one also needs to take into account some of the later developments that we are seeing with artificial intelligence and machine learning, because these are playing a huge role now in the ability to better understand the basic genomic factors, the proteomics, and the chemical structure, relationships, and processes. And that will push, again, another round of drug development in the immunotherapy market, as we understand these processes a lot better and we're able to clarify what is going on.
Thanks, Graham. And Ian, from an investor's perspective, so let's say someone's looking at immunotherapy for the first time, or even if they've sort of been following it, following sort of life science from an area, they've heard, immunotherapy sort of mentioned a few times, and now they want to understand, what are the actual sort of financial returns that can be, that can be realized if a venture is successful, going through their trials. Now, I asked that question noting that, life science is a high risk area, but there is a significant sort of market reward when done well. So it'd be good to understand your perspective on that.
Sure. So I'm not going to talk about specific companies. I'll just answer that in terms of thinking about an area of oncology. So I've had the good fortune to be in the field for more than 20 years, and so seen a lot of developments over that period of time. When I started off in oncology, I was working in the States, and the first approved drug I worked on was a drug called Velcade. When we launched that drug in multiple myeloma, the market for multiple myeloma was less than $1 billion a year, the worldwide market. There was a report came out the other day projecting the market for multiple myeloma drugs at 2030 will be $33 billion. So that's 33-fold increase in the course of about 20 years. And that's what happens when you get new types of therapies coming in. So we did it with Velcade back in 2003. But since then, there's been a consistent development of new drugs that treat multiple myeloma, ranging from antibodies targeting specific cell markers. We've now seen the approval of BCMA targeted CAR T cells. We're seeing antibody drug conjugates and so on. And so that market will continue to grow. And so there's been just a huge amount of value in the market developed over that relatively short period of time. And the companies that have led that charge, we've seen dramatically increases in their value as well. And importantly, what we've seen in that that short space of 20 years, the life expectancy of a patient with multiple myeloma has increased from back in 2003, it was less than 4 years. Today, it's probably 15 years or more. And that's the sort of impact you can see upon patient outcomes, but also in terms of the value of the market and therefore the value of the companies developing these drugs. So I'm not going to predict any particular increase in value for any of our companies, CapitalHQ or anyone else, but just to say that we're all part of the next generation of products, and some of us will be successful, and we can reasonably expect to see those sorts of increases in value driven by that success.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ian. And for you, Rebecca, like, how do you assess the commercial potential of new immunotherapy treatments, and what factors do you see contribute to their success in the market?
So I'm really glad you asked me this question, because I'm going through this process right now, being fresh in the seat at Chimeric Therapeutics. I think there's a few different things that we take into consideration. So the first thing is the unmet need, and I think that's really important to establish. Now, even if it's a small number of patients, it's not generally the number, but it's available treatments and the market size. So even if you have a small number of patients, the market size can still be quite big in terms of dollar value. And then we also look at the pathway to market. So how quickly we can get it into market, what's our return on massive investment for clinical trials going to be? And then the final piece will be how quickly can we expand the market? So that's really important. So for example, with a CAR T therapy, most big oncology centers around the world know how to handle that now. It's been 10 years in the making. They've got experience, they've got educated teams. It's not a new sort of thing. So particularly for CAR T, that's really exciting. I think another thing that I would look at is the horizon. What's coming? Are we going to be superseded quickly? And with some amazing cancer vaccines on the horizon, that's where I'm focused at the moment. But that's kind of the small package in a 5-second blip of what we do when we look at market potential for any molecule coming through.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rebecca. And Leslie, you're obviously with Imugene. I'll ask you specific to Imugene. You're obviously taking a portfolio approach to it. So from an investment standpoint, how do you, from a CEO standpoint, how do you think about the creation of value in Imugene with your 4 different approaches, and as you go through your different trials, and why have you chosen that path?
So I want to address what Ian said. He said some of us are going to be successful. I really want all of us to be successful. I think we're all doing incredible novel work, and I think it also, success builds on success. I hope for everyone on this panel to be successful, because we need to get Australian biotech companies really out there we're doing some revolutionary things here. At Imugene, back to Imugene, we have a product that could possibly change the landscape of how we look at solid tumors. So, the value creation and excitement for me personally is to have this experienced team to take a product all the way from bench and hopefully to bedside. And in between there may be partnering, there may be cooperative groups and collaborations. And that's really exciting when someone else gets as excited about your product as you do. And so with our 4 products, I can't be more exuberantly happy for how we're developing these products. And we have a team effort here, and we're all joined at the hips in terms of understanding where our products can reside. So I do a full mapping of every single product that we have in our portfolio all the way to marketing to see where it will end up. But the story has to be quite tight and concise because the regulatory journey isn't easy. And so understanding where this drug fits in the landscape, where it could possibly end up, how it can be combined or by itself, all those things adds to the value of the drug. And in essence, if you add value to drug and patients being our North Star, at the end of the day, if we can serve a body of patients, the value will come. And that has been my belief from the dawn of starting this very long career, 26 years now, in drug development, specifically in cancer.
And just give the audience some sort of perspective. And there's one thing I suppose I should have done beforehand. Like, what is the actual size of the cancer treatment market in general?
Oh gosh, I mean, even if you just look at CAR T alone, just CD19 CAR Ts alone, in 2023, they became a blockbuster drug. And there was only one for an extended amount of time, and then others joined. And I'm only talking about the CD19. I think BCMA is going to just surpass that. As clinicians and oncologists learn how to treat with the drug, there's more use of it because they learn. So that's $23 billion just last year alone. And in 10 years, they think that that's going to balloon to $23 billion. And that's, again, only 4 drugs, only 4 CAR Ts, and there are so many others. So the market is completely untapped in that that's only 10% of the population, and that's blood cancers. We've got 90% of solid tumor that hasn't been well served. Keytruda did a wonderful job, and checkpoint inhibitors in general have done a wonderful job in various different combinations, but they really only serve roughly about 20-30% in certain kinds of indication. And they're, as we say, they're in the $25 billion cells. That's one drug in the checkpoint inhibitor space that's serving either lung or bladder, very, very small populations, in fact, but that becomes a standard of care, and then more and more is being used. So the valuation can be, and the market size is huge. If you can really affect patient and lead to more than a few months, maybe hopefully lead to a cure, then the market is still very much untapped.
So really, it's a multi-$100 billion market, per year, from an opportunity perspective.
But even earlier on, those partnership, bringing value to shareholders, all the while the journey is going. I mean, that's what we're looking at here on the ASX.
Got it. And I'll target something very specific to you, Graham. You mentioned just beforehand that you're targeting immunotherapies for prostate cancer. So I suppose from a opportunity perspective, why are you targeting this area? And provide us with sort of, I suppose, the way in which you think about the risk versus reward potential by targeting specifically prostate cancer.
Well, the markets are, as Leslie said, are quite huge. And it's very difficult to try and work out which one you should actually go for. But when we looked at the issues facing different types of cancers, of course, from a market opportunity, you would look at the one that has, to a very large degree, the largest unmet need there. And if you look at prostate cancer, the opportunities of the treatment modalities are pretty limited. You're looking firstly, potentially at surgery. You could be looking at radiation therapy. You could be looking at hormonal therapy. Only recently have we seen some drugs and vaccines being produced, but these are for specific cases of prostate cancer. And we looked at this and we said, well, hold on, we've got a good marker for this, which is prostate-specific antigen. Why can't we leverage something off that? And it's actually looking at the basic cancer cell. That's what led us down this path. So an unmet need, quite clear. Nearly 2/3 of all men will develop prostate cancer. Many of them won't require treatment, but it is a very large unmet need. And also when it comes to the side effects, radiation therapy, hormone replacement therapy, these can have material side effects and also have a very, very negative effect on a person's quality of life. So it's not just the actual direct, life and death impact.
And it's also not just during treatment as well. It's also can be ongoing for months after.
Well, not only months. These quality of life issues can be with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, wow.
So it is a market with an extremely high unmet need, and there aren't many formal drugs specifically for it available on the market. So that was one of the reasons why we went into it.
And Ian, just from a benefits perspective, obviously we've talked about the sort of prolonging of life. We've talked about the improvement of the sort of patient outcomes and their just general sort of lifestyle post some sort of treatment. What are the broader sort of economic benefits? Can the success of immunotherapy treatments bring just to the healthcare sector in general?
Well, I think there are benefits to to patients in terms of better safety profiles. There is a general benefit to the community in terms of patient outcomes, economic benefit there. I think there's also, particularly again, just talking about cellular immunotherapies, which is where we're focused at CapitalHQ. We're at the start of the journey with cellular therapies, and we're still working out how to use them in cancer, but we're increasingly seeing companies that have a cellular therapy platform go into non-cancer diseases. So there's been some interesting results in autoimmune diseases, and there's a whole range of other diseases as well that these could potentially play out. So I think the benefit downstream will hopefully be in the shorter term with improved quality of life, improved treatment of cancer patients, benefit to the overall community in that regard. But then as we understand more and more how to use these sorts of treatments, there'll be spin-off benefits into other indications as well. So again, in our view, we're at the start of the next generation of treatments for a whole range of different human diseases.
And that, I suppose, brings to my next question, and thanks for that, Ian, brings my next question for Rebecca, is how is immunotherapies actually being integrated into the actual healthcare systems at the moment? At what stage are people, like how has it been implemented? Someone gave me the example the other day that effectively they were being given immunotherapy treatment after radiation therapy, for example. Like how is it currently being integrated? What sort of trialing are they having at different stages of integrating it, and what could it have on what are the impacts they could have on sort of later market adoption?
So currently in Australia, you have to fail a couple of nasty chemotherapies in order to get to immunotherapy. And that's a design by the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme that I know all the big pharmas are working really hard to change. But for us at Chimeric, and I know for a lot of other companies here, we're actually trialing most of our products after only one round of chemotherapy. And what we see is that the immune system tends to respond a lot better if it's not tired from all the consistent chemotherapy. And so the cells seem to be happier, they glow under the microscope, and we can engineer them really quite easily. But in terms of the healthcare system, there's a fair bit of work to do. And I think an analogy that might resonate with some of your viewers is with electric cars. So in Australia, it's pretty hard to have an electric car if you want to drive from Melbourne to Bendigo. You might have to stop at a petrol station and plug into the wall. There's no fast charging ports along the way. But in California, for example, you can drive from LA to San Francisco and there's charging ports all the way up because there's been that investment, and then there's been a significant demand for that particular product over there. So if we take that back to personalized medicine and CAR T therapy, once we see more people adopting it at first line or second line, so that's the first point of treatment or the second part of treatment, we'll see more personalized medicine being available. So we'll be able to take your cells, run a genome sequence. You can have one of Leslie's fancy vaccines. You can have one of my CAR-Ts, and you will be right to go. And that's where I see the future of personalized medicine heading for our healthcare system. But again, this is going to take a lot of investment from all of us.
And what is to stop them actually trialing it, or sort of, I suppose, integrating it before the first session of radiation?
So the main focus for the pharmaceutical benefit scheme in Australia is budget reduction, unfortunately. And also the chemotherapy drugs that have been used for 30, 40, 50 years, we know how they work. We know how patients respond. We've seen multiple responses. And so whilst I wouldn't say that CAR-T is necessarily new, all of the molecules that we're bringing to market are technically new. So people want to understand a little bit more and feel more comfortable about how each different person's body is going to react to them. But we'd really like to see a place where patients can come to the hospital and have the best care first up.
That makes logical sense to me. And Leslie, you mentioned we got 4 different programs that are going through various stages of clinical trial. So just for, I suppose, to help investors when they're looking at immunotherapy companies, can you share just some insights into the critical success factors, for advancing the different range of treatments as they go through the clinical development stages?
It's quite simple, but quite complicated at the same time. I mean, I think the clinical trial aspect and clinical development generally encompasses phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. But now I think we're being smarter and faster. And unfortunately, the FDA and other regulatory bodies do put constraints on what line of care that we can provide to patients. So even if we think that our products could work better in the front line or in the first instances when they're diagnosed or newly diagnosed, which is, great, we still have to abide by the ethics rules and regulatory bodies to say you have to honor the standard of care. It's actually unethical for any oncologist to treat any patients on what's considered an investigational drug, as Rebecca laid out. Those are non-approved drugs. They're still in clinical trials. It's unethical to move them in a frontline setting or a second line setting. They have to exceed, unfortunately, the standard of care. And the standard of care happens to be the old mainstays, the chemo, the radiation, etc. I think, if I like companies that have very experienced team, have a record of having had experience with developing a certain kind of medicine, and in this case, in oncology. You also want to see that sometimes phase 1 is great for safety rollouts, but also this is when you get to look at how the drug works. And so when you start seeing activity along with safety, you've got something very special. And I think almost companies owe it to themselves to develop those products. And I'm fortunate at Imugene, we have 4 products that have exceeded phase 1 or exceeded safety profile and have seen efficacy as early as phase 1. So in CAR-Ts especially, because it has shown such a whopping response rates, they are able to move into phase 2 or 3 and get rapidly approved. And so the FDA and the regulatory bodies are finally seeing that really efficacious drug, or if you get responses early on with safety intact, they're willing to listen to you to give you fast track designation, orphan designation, et cetera, because like all regulatory bodies, they're all humans and they want drugs to be out there for our patients. And I think they're willing to look at novel therapies as long as you have safety and you have a clear sign of some level of response and efficacy. And they will listen to you in terms of moving that faster into market. And we look at that setting all the time here at Imugene because we want to produce drugs faster for patients in need.
Perfect. Thanks, Leslie. And just a final question for you all as we sort of come to wrap up the panel session. So you've all got extensive experience in life science in general and in this space. What are, like you said, if you were to put on your investor hat, obviously you're passionate CEOs and COOs, but if you were to put on your investor hat, what are the future trends in immunotherapy that investors should be looking for? And how can they position themselves to capitalize on these trends? And understanding, this is from a long-term perspective. This is a 5 to 10 year horizon perspective, not how can they make a trade in the next 3 months. So I'll start, I'll go around and ask you all that question. So I'll start with you, Rebecca.
Oh, sure. I think future trends in immunotherapy, please don't be afraid of investing in CAR T. I think there's a lot of growth to happen in cell therapy and particularly in cellular immunotherapy, even though it looks daunting and expensive. As I mentioned, the cost will come down as more people start to use it and it becomes a mainstay in the treatment of care. So I think in the future, we're looking at lots of different multiple targets. So you can attach different CARs and have 2 or 3 CARs on one cell, which I think is really exciting from a scientific perspective. So I'll be looking out for those in particular.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rebecca. Ian.
So I just reiterate one of the points I made before, and that is, we're at the start of the development of cellular immunotherapies and other immunotherapies as well. But, my area, CapitalHQ is cellular. We're at the start of this new area. What I think people should look out for is the opportunity to exploit cells to make them more like pharmaceutical products. So at the moment, the existing autologous CAR T products, it's one product for one patient. So looking at ways in which you can make one product for multiple patients, which is what we're doing with our stem cell-based technology. And then again, to reiterate another point, look for opportunities for driving the technology into other areas. So we're all focused on oncology, and quite rightly, it's a huge area of patient need and huge potential returns, but the ability to, again, manipulate the immune system to treat other diseases. So I think look for technology platforms that can go into other areas as well. And, it has the potential to be, just a huge change in the way that a whole range of different diseases are treated.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ian. And yourself, Graham?
Well, echoing a lot of the points that have come across from the other panelists, but I think another way of looking at it is, I was at a major conference in Europe a little while ago and part of a CEO forum just discussing issues in the sector. And one of the things that really stood out for me was cost of therapies, cost and capacity. So forgetting about all the science and all the advances that are made in that regard, this was a major issue for a lot of the major biotech players in the life sciences sector. Cost of therapies, ability to produce cheaply. So any company that is able to take a technology and translate it into a manufacturing process which is not too difficult or can slot in with current manufacturing processes or those with where they need minor adjustments, and of course it has to work, will have a major role to play.
Fantastic. And lastly, you, Leslie?
So, it's interesting because I only invest in biotech because I feel like that's what I know. And so I think this is a particular relevance to me. Having been at large pharma companies looking at small biotech companies to buy, I feel like I've got a very unique perspective on what is investable and what's not. And for me, what I would look for in particular is those companies that are doing something novel, not necessarily just a me too. And sure, I'd love to be a weight loss. I'd like to be Ozempic, part 4, because those companies are just thriving, and that's great. Lifestyle medicine's great, but I really do believe that the world needs better cancer medication. And I applaud everyone on this panel for trying to help. All of us are trying to help solve this great puzzle that's cancer. But I think, if you have a good team, if you understand what you're doing, experience, I can't tout that enough. And taking a product through all the way to either registration or even partnering is not easy. It's a quite complicated path. There are trends that happen, there are cost affiliation, and there are just people that just like it for whatever reason. So I think I would look for novel products that has safety profiles that are showing signs of efficacy early on, and especially in monotherapy, not just in combination. And I love gene editing, and I think that's why we're, Rebecca and all of us are in cellular therapeutics, because we think that can be advanced even further than what it is now. And I hear everything that everybody on this panel resonates with me in that cellular therapy is the new frontier. Gene editing and all those are still untapped. Oncolytic viruses to cancer vaccines to radiotheranostics. So there's several different approaches to cancer therapeutics, and I think all of us have a very unique path and also a responsibility to carry this forward. And investments are great to help us further that, and we hope to give value back to all the stakeholders.
Very well summarized, Leslie, as always. I'll just go finish, and I'll try and explain the most simplest way possible when I think about everything that you guys are doing. I love innovation, right? And I love it for a number of different things. And I think someone said it before that the chemotherapy or the radiation therapy is a 30 to 50-year-old sort of treatment that's been going for a long time. The beautiful thing about innovation is, first, what it does is it typically replaces the value of the incumbent. So if you think about I'm going to a completely different area. If you think about classifieds as ads as an example, but absolutely, that were previously in newspapers, it got destroyed by the internet, right? And then the value of those companies have then 10x'd, the value of those incumbents that were there at that stage. And then likewise, AI has the potential to do the same on the software side, to go and 10x that again over the next sort of 5 to 10 years. So the easiest way, I think, for me to summarize when I think about you guys is the current incumbent treatment is the chemotherapy and the radiation. Immunotherapy is that sort of new player coming into the market, and because it is in that tricky area of life science, and it does have different bureaucratic and safety processes to go through, it does take a bit longer than normal. But ultimately, the potential value for your companies is to, as I said, first replace the value of the incumbent treatments, and then exponentially go beyond it. As far as more and more investment actually goes into the space. And the most beautiful thing I've seen about life science is typically when people have successes in life science, they tend to recycle that money back into new treatments as well. So the success of all of you, is important for the consistent building of the ecosystem. And then likewise, the role that high net worths and family offices can play is super important, especially in the early stages, but also, even in for listed companies, because, small trades can move share prices quite quickly, for listed companies. So I would like to say a big thank you to all of you. I appreciate taking the time out of the middle of the day to do this and sort of provide a lot more, in-depth sort of understanding of immunotherapy as an area. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for listening, and thank you for having me present my experience as a founder of a fund manager. Essentially, I've helped fund and found SoHi Partners, and we're fund managers for SoHi MedTech Innovation Fund. I just wanted to give you my perspective from a medico. My name's Nick Hartnell, and this is my day job. I'm a knee surgeon, so I come from a lens of a physician. And that's how I think we can demonstrate to you just something unique about our fund and how we think our fund is going to help the medtech industry. SoHi was founded by surgeons. There's two of us in the Highlands that got together. We like to think the two of us were innovators. And between us, we have about 40 patents. We were frustrated with how innovation in Australia is funded and how the medtech industry is done. We had an idea that the founders of most medtech is with the doctor. The doctor starts with the idea that helps their patient, and their drive is to make their treatment for their patient a lot easier. So from So High's point of view, we like to think that we think like the doctors, but we have an investment team that invests like VCs. And our mantra is simple. We're just looking to identify, support, and launch the next generation of Australian medtech. And as we know, Australian medtech is an exciting space. But we're unique in that medtech partnership because we are the users, we're the incubators and the creators, and now we're also the funders of the medtech area. I just want to give you my perspective. So High is for Southern Highlands, and as you may know, the Southern Highlands in New South Wales is Bowral, where two famous people have come, Don Bradman and P.L. Travers. P.L. Travers obviously wrote Mary Poppins, and they both lived about 500 metres away from our hospital and 200 metres away from each other. So I think these two people exemplify what the Southern Highlands is about and the people that we attract to the area. We have some heavy hitters and some exciting innovators here. And these are just some of the innovations that have come out of Bowral and the Southern Highlands. And I'll talk about a few of these, but we really are punching above our weight. Our investment thesis at So High Partners is simple. We want to tackle the world's biggest medical problems. If you're going to tackle the world's biggest medical problems, the addressable market has got to be around $1 billion, if not more. But we're focused on that as an addressable market, but we also would fund anything under that if it's exciting, and especially if it has a globally scalable solution. If you're going to tackle the world's biggest medical problems, we think the way to do it is have two committees, a medical advisory panel, which is the gatekeeper to all the ideas, and then the investment risk committee, which is going to be the committee that potentially works out if this is fundable. Together, we want to be able to then bring that idea and show the world exactly what we can do. The mantra, though, sticks with homegrown innovation. We want homegrown Aussie innovation and tech that improves and prolongs life. Predominantly, though, we want things that are manufactured or could be produced in rural and regional Australia, with a lot of the smarts and the jobs being in that area. That's our focus. But one thing I want to impart on you today is why we're different. And we think our fund is slightly different because doctors think differently. Now, most of you would look at this slide and think it's a weather map for Australia. I, as a surgeon, look at this and to me, it's an axial T2 weighted image of a knee with a large hemarthrosis and a metacollateral ligament injury and some subchondral bony edema, probably someone that needs surgery. Again, that's just an example of doctors think differently. And so I want to give you my perspective as a physician. And so when an idea or an innovation comes to us, these are my 7 Ps that I look at and that we look at as the medical advisory panel to see if it will go to the next step, which is our finance committee. And the 7 Ps are very simple, but again, it is medically derived. So first one is the proposition. We have to love the idea as a physician, love the idea as a user. There must be a need, but it must be a need that we think we will grasp and use. Not just in our field, we'll have other specialists that will come in and help us, guide us, but it'll have to be something that we think is usable and will change the market or change the world. Proposition is first. But then we want to back the people. People, as we all know from a finance side, the CEOs and the CFOs are so important. But we want to talk to the innovators. We want to talk to those medicos. We want to know that they're hungry. We want to back people that back themselves. And I have 2 very simple questions to ask those innovators and those doctors. I ask them what their hobbies are and what car do they drive. Very simple. The answer is they don't have any hobbies because they are backing themselves with this innovation, and that innovation is their hobby. And what car do they drive? Second-hand 10-year-old car, because they don't spend any money on themselves. They focus it all on their idea. They're the people that are backing themselves, and they're the people we want to back. Passion is a must. You must have a passion. Now, this is a gut feel. There's no scale. It's a barometer. I can't tell you how to judge passion other than it is that gut feel. But again, that's one of the Ps that we have to have to get through the gate to the finance committee. Pathway, as we all know, is the hardest in medtech. There's no overnight success because of the regulatory pathway. We understand that. We understand the regulatory pathway, and we know it is going to be 5 to 10 years in most regulatory markets. Then we also need to know which market are you going to go first? Are you going to go to the US? Are you going to go to Europe? Are you going to the UK? Are you going to Australia? Are you going to third world or second world countries first? The regulatory markets are obviously different. Returns are obviously different. There's plenty of success stories in all the markets, but we need to know which market you're going to first, and then where are your secondary markets. And then another trick question that I always ask as a medico, what's your exit strategy? The answer is simple. There is no exit strategy. As a doctor, as an innovator, as someone who is passionate about that idea, my thought is not to exit. My thought is to continue it. Now, the finance team has an exit strategy. That's a separate question. But from a medico and a physician's point of view, the innovators that we want to back have no exit strategies. And then the question comes to protection. Now, we all know about IP, and IP is only as safe as deep are your pockets. So if you can't defend your IP, there's no point to having IP. But as a physician, what we need to know is what's your secret sauce. As medicos, we can dig deeper than most in the finance because we understand that secret sauce. We need to know what's going to set you apart, how hard is it going to be to copy your idea, and how is your competition going to be able to react. So that's where we want to dig to, the secret sauce, and that's what's going to drive us into promoting this innovation. And then what's the plan? Obviously, which market? But who are your key opinion leaders? Have you identified those opinion leaders, and are they going to be on board as users? Who are your distributors? The distributors in our industry are so key in this market. They're certainly key as far as costs, but most innovators can't go alone without the distributors. So who are the distributors that you're targeting, and how are they going to help you on your journey? And obviously, who are your competition? Who's your primary competition? Who's your secondary competition? How fast are they going to be able to react to your innovation and your product? And then most importantly, the question in plan is, what's your next product? What's next? What's coming down the pipeline? Because we all know of one-hit wonders that don't last long. And perhaps it's so high, what drives us as slightly different is partnership. We demand collaboration between projects. Once we fund you, you're part of the team. We want the smartest people in the room all to be in the same room. We're going to fund the ideas and the innovators who then know that they can help others on the pathway so we're all successful. So if you've got a skill, if you've had some regulatory problems that can help another one of our investments, we want you to collaborate together. So that's our final question for the medical innovators. Are you prepared to be a collaborator? And if you are, we want you part of our team. And then, of course, we pass it on. The medical advisory panel is completely different to the finance panel, and we don't talk. Even though we're a small team, we don't talk. The medical panel will say to the finance, this is something we will use and we want it back. The finance team will then do the deeper digging, and we leave that to the finance team. But from a medical point of view, as I've imparted to you already, doctors think differently. So we dive into their mentality to see exactly what they are planning and how they can get their idea to the world. And just to give you an example of something that we've been involved in, something that didn't have an addressable market of over $1 billion. This was a smaller addressable market, but a great example of how innovative and how we can pivot if we need to. This is Tasker. It makes the world's best myoelectric hand, so a bionic hand. We believed in the people who were based in Christchurch in New Zealand. They had the passion, they had the plan, they had the secret sauce, they had the pathway. They're now the biggest seller and the best in market for bionic hands. And not surprisingly, once they disrupted the market, they've been bought out and they've just recently been acquired. And as the finance team looked to it, they had a 19 times multiplier. So a success story that essentially started with the people and the passion and the innovators, and then the finance was able to follow through because it was best in market. So high, we now have 3 cornerstone investments that we're working with at the current moment. We've got a molecule that will help with disc regeneration and with back pain. We have a ligament from the kangaroo, which is going to help orthopedic surgeons and ACL reconstructions in particular. And then we've got a biocomposite bone replacement that's going to help with spinal fusions as well as hopefully with knee replacements. All 3 of these ideas are collaborating amongst each other to help all 3 be successful. Now, if I just take one of them, which is the ligament, which is essentially a company called Bone Ligament Tendon, what they've looked at is the kangaroo. I'm the innovator behind it, so I've got great passion and I can tell you about this project. It is a project that has taken us some time to get moving, but we've looked at the kangaroo tissue as a substitute for ACL ligament reconstruction. Now, if you think of the ACL, it's been a problem for about 65 million years. This is a cousin of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And essentially, if you look closely at its femur, it's got an ACL footprint. And clearly, this dinosaur had an ACL rupture. There is no question of it at all. I'm not suggesting that was the demise of the dinosaur, but potentially the demise of this dinosaur. But ACLs, as we all know, are the most feared most letters for a footballer. And unfortunately, the numbers are increasing and increasing exponentially. Especially with the female participation in sport, the numbers are incredible as far as funding is concerned. But this journey is not an overnight success, as I've said. It's a journey that started in 2015, and ultimately, on the right of the screen, you have an ACL intact. On the left, you have an ACL that's not. And essentially, that's the story. It's the story of the haves and the have-nots. You either have an ACL or you have not an ACL. And unfortunately, there are plenty of people that have not. And also, unfortunately, a lot of the have-nots are our beloved Matildas. But if you want simple numbers, the numbers of ligament injuries requiring surgery in Australia are less or the same as the combined top 10 cancer diagnoses in that year. And the beauty of these numbers are they're the same in Australia, they're the same in the US, they're the same in Europe, they're the same in South America. They are the same in Japan. They are reproducible across every country in the world. And so why have we chosen this project? Why are we funding this one? It's sustainable. The addressable market is 14 billion. It's scalable. The kangaroo is 6 times stronger than the human. It's cheaper than the competition. We can use a product which is not frozen. It's off the shelf. It has the geographic protection. It's got strong IP, but it's got that beauty of a geographic protection because nowhere else in the world has kangaroos. So we control the supply chain. Therefore, that's extra protection. And that's, again, what we'll be looking for. And it can be on every hospital shelf in the world. It's scalable. So that's why it's so high backed this project. And remember, even unicorns have ACLs. And I thank you for your time. And my last slide is my trip with my family and friends to Kokoda. And the last part of this being that we can't do it alone, and we do every challenge like Kokoda as a team. Again, I thank you for listening, and I thank you for letting me be part of it.
So I hope you've enjoyed today's CapitalHQ online investment showcase. As I said, we do our best to bring you a range of innovative speakers and also innovative topics as well that, we don't really see being covered too much in the general marketplace. So our role is to help you build your own investment thesis. And of course, we're fortunate enough to attract a lot of talented people, which we can, provide you with access to via our information. Now, following the session, go and contact everyone, go and network with some of the CEOs that actually featured during the event, contact them through the CapitalHQ app, effectively do a bit of a deeper dive in some of the opportunities that were featured today as well. And as I said at the start of it, if the companies are not relevant for you, they may be relevant for someone in your investor network. So please take the time to do the introduction. I hope you enjoyed the showcase. Enjoy the rest of your day.